Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the MinnMax Show, place about games, friends, getting better. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Jeff Marchiafava.
That's me.
Choo-choo. We're joined by Kyle Hilliard.
Heyo.
Joined by Jacob Gieler.
Is this the companion podcast to the Leo Wynn show?
That's right. Check out New Show Plus if you're confused. We got a hell of an episode for y'all. We are talking about Saros, the new PlayStation game from Housemarque. We're going to be unpacking that in a big way. We're talking Vampire Crawlers, the true follow-up successor to Vampire Survivors. Talking a little bit about a game that Jacob and I got to go see in Spain. We're like, oh, we should really talk about the game itself instead of just the MinnMax Spotlight that's going to be coming out next week or early May. But Virtue and a Sledgehammer, we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And then Deven McClure is going to be joining us, and we're talking Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, the first of, I hope, several discussions about that weirdo Nintendo game. We're talking Titanium Court from the co-director of Consume Me, and then back after the show, we have some wonderful community questions people submitted over there in Patreon world. This is fun. I love tackling new IP on the podcast, and I think it's even more fun because we're like, obviously pre-recording this, and so I don't think anybody knows what anybody else thinks about Saros at this point. Is that correct?
Yeah. I've been messaging a bunch of people who I know are working on reviews, just being like, what did you think?
Tell me the reviews.
I have some idea.
Jacob and I have been messaging, but I think which I appreciate, Jacob, you never asked me like what I thought, and I didn't want to get your thoughts either while I was working on the review.
No, we've just kind of been like, I'm this far. Are you this far?
Awesome.
Here's
All
a
right.
picture that's relevant to one of the bosses.
Interesting. All right. Saros, codes provided by PlayStation here. We should point out, Jeff and I have been playing a bit of it, and then Jacob and Kyle, have you both finished it, or where are you at with Saros?
Yeah, true ending finished it, I think.
Yeah, we're discussing before we started that we got the epilogue ending. Yeah.
All right, Jacob, how you feeling about it? Crack that seal, baby.
It's a 2 big thumbs up from me, with the caveat that if Returnal is one of my favorite games ever, this is a interesting sophomore effort that doesn't quite blow it out of the water.
Interesting. I didn't know you're that high in Returnal. Good Lord.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like Returnal I loved when I played it, and then every year that goes by I'm like, damn, I think I like Returnal even more than I did originally. It just kind of continues to grow in the mind, and I want to say it's very possible that will happen with Saros as well, because this is a really complicated game narratively, and it's hard to finish it a day ago and be like, and here's what I think. And so I'm really looking forward to the post-release discussion where I get to start finding out what everyone thinks of the story.
Because it's kind of mystery box puzzles, slowly uncover layer after layer type of thing.
It's very mystery box, but
it's existential, right? It's not very straightforward about anything, frankly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, except the straightforward fact that the running and shooting in this game feels about as good as it has in any video game.
Hell yeah. You move so fast in this game. It's the same thing with Returnal. The first time I got my hands on the sticks and just moved the character, I was like, whoa! Especially for the more cinematic, narrative sequences in the beginning. Oh, that's right. My default speed is just Sonic the Hedgehog here.
And actually a really nerdy Returnal thing that I'll point out right off the bat is in Returnal, there's actually a setting that you could turn on called auto sprint, which would just set you sprinting all the time. And it was I told everyone playing the game, you need to turn that on. That's the speed the game is supposed to be played at. And in Saros, there is no setting. You are just at auto sprint all the time.
Yeah. You can hold down L1 to go even faster when there aren't enemies around. Which is I didn't get the in-game tutorial for that until very late, but I read through all the tutorials early on, and that was kind of a tip. It's you can hold L1 and go even faster sometimes.
Yeah, so if 60 miles an hour isn't fast enough for you to run, you can also run at 90 miles an hour.
His legs are just so beefy. Kyle, where are you at overall with Saros?
I love it. It's really good. It's an early game of the year contender for me. Narratively, I'm with Jacob in the sense that I'm not as taken with it as I was Returnal.
Yeah.
Right. I was not as emotionally invested in Saros narratively as I was Returnal, but separating it from Returnal, which it's not a sequel, but it is mechanically a sequel. Yeah, I mean, the gameplay is just stellar, and it's one of those things that it will make it hard to go back to Returnal. Sort of the big change of like the projectiles, kind of to a certain degree, you're still mostly just trying to get away from them and dodge them, but there is a new level of like absorb the blue ones, counter the red ones, and mostly dodge the yellow ones. Like even the counter I kind of didn't really embrace until I was pretty deep into the game. But yeah, it's just it feels, I don't even know if I would say it feels better than Returnal, but it feels great. And those sort of options of like the way you deal with projectiles to me makes it a more it's like easier sounds negative, but it is more manageable. And man, I love permanent upgrades. Like I just love that system. I love that even a bad run, you can get a fair bit of upgrades. And when you have a stellar run, you can get like dozens of upgrades at once. And it is super satisfying to just like build out that list and like, yeah, so like even if the story and the narrative structure is like doesn't quite hit as hard as Returnal did for me, I'm loving Saros. Like for my Game Informer review, I gave it a 9.25. Like I really like it a lot.
Yeah, it's so interesting because like right when the game boots up, to have a publisher like Sony and PlayStation here releasing their take on a big budget roguelike, I think it's a fascinating experiment, especially since they purchased Housemarque since Returnal release now, to be like, okay, this is what it looks like when one of the biggest publishers in the world takes a big stab at a roguelite. And specifically, I think it's so fascinating, like their messaging. The fact that like when this game was first revealed, the tagline was like, come back stronger. It's like, it's a roguelite, but like there's progression here. And then even like in that messaging thing right out of the gate, right when you boot up the game, it's like, hey, just so you know, you can save mid-run here. You can shut down your system. Because I was like, the two big dings, it feels like, for Returnal, they're trying to head off at the pass, which is interesting messaging-wise.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and it's like, technically, I guess it is a roguelite, but like, it honestly does not feel like that to me. It really feels, and even less so than Returnal, because Returnal, you would eventually unlock shortcuts, but you had to start at the beginning each time, and you would, if you wanted to beat the third level, you had to get through the first two in some way, even if that was kind of like jumping ahead. This feels basically like a level-based game to me, where it's like the game is very generous with like, when you unlock an area, you can then start there. You'll get enough upgrades that you'll be able to beat them. It feels almost that you're just kind of like playing through a sequence of levels that do randomize each time, but like it's not really a run-based game in the same way that Returnal was. You're kind of like, you're not putting as much investment in each one, which is also kind of a question mark for me. Like I like the investment in the run that you got in Returnal, but I think in virtually every way this is a more approachable game. Like the stakes are lower in that you lose less when you die. You upgrade yourself massively. Like truly the amount of statistics you're able to bump is enormous. It's a game that like it wants you to be able to get through, which lends it a very different energy than playing Returnal, in ways that I kind of, I like hard games, so I think I liked getting my ass kicked a little more. But like, if you bounced off Returnal, I think you should give this one a shot as well, because
or if you were intimidated by Returnal, give this one a shot.
Like it wants you to finish.
Okay, you say that, but like, Jeff, are you also kind of getting your ass kicked a fair bit? It's not like this.
It's hard as balls.
Okay, thank you. Like, what are you guys talking about?
I've only played like two hours. I'm still on the first boss. I haven't been able to do. I've done like 3 runs or something like that. So I haven't been able to kind of get that investment going that much. But it is, and I very much enjoy it. But that the idea of, it's basically bullet hell. You have to dodge all these bullets, but now you want to absorb some, but you have to pop your shield in order to do it. Your shield's only going to last a limited amount of time while you're absorbing them. So you want to get in and and then pop yourself out. Like that is all just taking, like there's a learning curve to that I'm still figuring out. and I like it. I like that makes it infinitely more interesting than so many shooters that I've played over my lifetime. That like this is I really like shoot 'em ups and bullet hells as well, and so this is a really interesting kind of take on it, as was Returnal in the first place. But like that is a new, very interesting kind of mechanism that I haven't really seen much in other games.
Yeah, Jacob, I think you have to beat the second boss before you can start messing with the
I haven't gotten the
difficulty
cool
slider. Yeah.
Oh,
and I will say
interesting.
also, just to set expectations, I think this was also kind of true in Returnal. I think the first boss is harder than like the next 3 bosses after that.
Thank God.
It's a pretty high difficulty spike early on, and then it actually simmers down a little.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how it's like in the skill tree, it's like gated by the bosses. Where it's like, hey, you can make a lot of progress in skill tree, but like if you're not going to beat that first boss, this is the ultimate roadblock. You need to beat the prophet before you can go on into the skill tree and choose different routes and stuff like that, which is cool.
Yeah, I'm not good at Returnal. I actually went back and listened to a little bit of our spoiler, our max spoilers for recently, just to refresh myself a little. And Jacob, I think you said you had like 30 deaths or something, and I had like 100. And this one I was like, I looked at my final stats and I was like, I was in a much more like I felt like a reasonable position, because like once you do break through that skill check of the first boss and the second boss a little bit, like you're getting a lot of permanent upgrades and like you're finding the weapons you like to. Like if you're struggling at all, I would really recommend trying to get the smart rifle if you can. Like that thing saved my life often. It's just like a good, like you don't have to worry about aiming quite as much, and it's really helpful weapon.
Yeah, I'm curious about like those beginner tips and stuff too, because like Jeff, I'm still like, oh, that's right, the shield. I think so much of this game is going to be shield absorption of blue bullet management that I still am like, I don't know how hungry I should be. Should it be like Pac-Man pellets every time I see those blue orbs? I'm like, I gotta have those right now.
It's not that much.
Okay.
I think you might actually be like primarily, and this is actually a thing that I was talking to a friend about with Returnal recently. Like your primary goal when you're playing this should be don't get hit, which sounds obvious. Like, hey, just don't take damage. But it's like, that's actually more, this is not really a game about like trading blows. This is like, you should be not getting hit. And that is more important than doing damage to enemies, is just like avoiding is your main thing. And I think you should kind of learn how to avoid the attacks first, and then you will start understanding what your opportunities are to put your shield up and absorb things. But like, I think starting out, I would just be like, my goal is to just avoid everything, and then you can start working the shield, because it's like, the shield is not a gift. The shield does not make the game easier. The shield actually makes the game harder because it's another thing to think about.
Sure.
And so if you kind of like, if you start playing with the shield after you're confident in avoiding damage, I think you'll be able to use it more effectively.
When you start seeing red projectiles, which I think maybe begins with the second boss, or maybe you see them before then, but just know, which I had to learn, I was putting it off, the counter window for like hitting those red ones back is bigger than you think. Like but
also you don't have the counter. It's confusing because in the tutorials it will tell you that you have a counter, but you actually don't until you get it in the story, I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, but I'm just saying later, don't be like me. Don't be scared to counter. I ran away from red all the time. And then like at the 60% mark, I was like, let me try knocking some of these back. And I was like, oh my God, this is a game changer. I should have been doing this the whole time.
Before we get too lost in the nitty gritty difficulty of the game, I feel like another thing that we should just talk about right away is the visual design of this game, and specifically the environmental art, is staggering. Like truly, in a way where I'm like, how is it possible that this game came out this quickly? It looks like it would have taken 16 years to make these environments. Like the complexity and the detail of each environment is unbelievable. And there's so many more biomes than there were in Returnal that have different styles. It's just like, there are a number of times that I was playing this where I was like, is this the most next-gen feeling game I've played? Which is hilarious because it's like 6 years into the PS5's lifetime. But like, there were things where I was like, oh my God, look at this thing on screen that they're doing in a way that I have not felt about a game in a while.
Artistically, just like the size and scope, or we're talking like particle effects on the screen? What are you talking about?
All of the above. Definitely just like the level of detail that they're able to push in the environments is crazy. But then like there are a couple late bosses that kind of rewrite your idea of what the game is capable of doing
Awesome.
in a way that is very cool.
That's super cool to hear. Yeah, I mean, because it is certainly going for a mood out of the gate. It's too easy to be like, oh, it's the movie Sunshine, if you've ever seen that. But certainly there's a lot of inspiration and vibes of Sunshine, right? But even in the beginning, like the first time you die and then it cuts to that title screen and it's just like obnoxiously quick flashes of like the bizarre eclipse and sex scenes, and the music is like setting the tone so distinctly where it's like, okay, I need to seep into this world here and get used to everything it's doing. But even you're saying this first area, the whole eclipse vibe, you're saying it shakes it up a lot even from that tone?
Maybe not from the tone, but certainly the style.
Right.
One of my criticisms of the game, and specifically the game's narrative, is it's kind of like people are going crazy.
Yes.
The whole time. Like, it's Returnal had one character. Like in Returnal, there was a single character and she existed at many points in time. And so you would kind of be interacting with her at different things. This game has a lot of characters, but I think one of its weaknesses is that most of what I learned about the characters are they're going crazy. And that's, I think I'll play it again, and I'm looking forward to seeing if I can like find more nuance now that I know the whole story.
I am right there with you, Kyle. You're in the same boat.
It's a lot of monologues, about just ramblings about stuff, like the Yellow Shore. They're really going to talk about that a lot, and it's just going to sound a little bit like nonsense. And even with the context, it's still kind of a little bit like, okay, yeah, you've not become a character so much as you become an indicator of where my mind can go if I'm here for too long,
I think that's the thing is like, I even restarted this game. I was playing for like maybe an hour and a half, and I'm like, the world and the characters and the mystery here is not grabbing me. Like, I think I just need to restart it and pay more attention to like the breadcrumbs that they're laying down. And even upon restarting it, it's still like a story of space madness, at least the way it starts out, right? And it's that feeling of, don't you understand the mystery of why this twisted place made everybody go mad? I'm like, no, yeah, probably. It's like, I don't think I'm not surprised by anything out of the gate of like, this wacky place made people wacky. It's like, And I'm curious to see where it goes from there. But out of the gate, it's not grabbing me as strongly as Returnal did.
It's fun to play it back to back with Pragmata, because Pragmata is also a story of an astronaut going to a place to collect a very profitable material that you can only get on another planet. And Pragmata is kind of this like joyful, like,
I sure do love my robot daughter.
Yeah, let's blow up some robots and we'll get some Luna filament, where this is like, it's like, if we look to the left any longer, like I might shoot myself, it's like, that's the two versions of the space. And it's funny because my wife was like, she was kind of like, I was like talking about these games and I was talking about Saros, and she's like, wait, is that the one with the robot girl?
Oh,
and I was
funny.
like, no, that's Pragmata. That's the other astronaut game. I was on the moon for that one. This one I'm on Carcosa. I don't know why you're confused.
You can air dash in both, but they're very different.
One has Luna filament, the other has Lucenite. I don't know why you're confused. They're completely different properties.
Yeah, I will say that the story evolves beyond spaces making everyone crazy, or it gains more depth. But it takes a while to get there. Ben, you restarting before beating the first boss, I was like, you're not going to find anything new.
I just wanted to double check.
That's going to be the same thing, and it ends in a very interesting place, but like it's not necessarily presenting you with thrilling ideas the whole time, and the excitement of progression for me was more, look at this new environment, look at this new boss kind of feeling.
Right.
I do like the ending though.
Okay.
I don't know how you feel, Jacob. Like, I think it's a good conclusion, and I do overall like the sort of opaque mystery of like, you know, an H.R. Giger planet, you know what I mean, without a lot of answers. I do like it, but it's hard to not compare it to Returnal, which is like a game that like uses the medium of video games to tell a super compelling and compact story, you know, where this one's a little broader with more characters. And it's like, I don't know if it really benefits from those additions, you know?
Yeah, I do like the setup of having just your upgrades in the world be in your base, and it's on a big computer stalactite called Primary that's kind of representing the company. It's like, that's cool to have that be something you're interacting with after every run of like, frickin' Primary, here we go, gotta talk to this weird stalactite.
There's a very fun part, pretty much at the beginning, where it's like you find like a teleport pad and you can use that, and then you go back to your base and you talk to Primary, and Primary is like, oh, you figured out how to teleport, okay? That is now patented by the company. where it's just kind of like it's very, you know, like Alien, the Ridley Scott film of like, it's space capitalism, a lot at the beginning, you know, like pretty on the nose, but they get some kind of fun out of just like, yes, it doesn't matter how many people die because this thing is worth $1 trillion an ounce. So all your lives are worth less than that.
Yeah. I was trying to remember if in Pragmata, if they define how much something is, how much, if the Luna filament has a price tag on it. And I was wondering if, because the Lucidite kind of does, right? There's a little bit of dialogue where they talk about if we're the first on this, we will be trillionaires or whatever. And I was like, I wonder if maybe some YouTuber will do the math and figure out what's more valuable, you know?
You got to do the economy breakdown for sure.
I do think, honestly, and I say this, being the person in this position, Saros feels like a YouTube analysis kind of game. And I say that as both a positive and a negative. Like, it does feel like a lot of people are going to beat this and be like, I need to watch someone explain that.
Is that...
Yes, please make that video, Jacob.
Yeah, exactly. You're rolling up your sleeves. Are you feeling fired up about it?
I'm excited to play it again and see if I can tie the threads together more than I could the first playthrough.
Okay.
To shout out editor-in-chief over Game Informer, Matt Miller, he immediately sent me like a wiki link to you probably know what I'm talking about, Jacob.
The King in Yellow.
The King in Yellow, which is like a pre-Lovecraft cosmic horror collection of short stories that like is like a huge, like there's tons of references to that.
Yes, it would. If it was Lovecraft, it would be like all the characters were saying, it's just like in that Lovecraft book. Like the explicitness with which the King in Yellow is name dropped is pretty crazy.
And that's like True Detective as well, Carcosa and the Yellow King and all that stuff. I assume that's all intertwined. Okay.
The first thing I thought was like, oh, we're doing Carcosa again. Like, is this not just like a layman term that everyone now knows, and it feels a little on the head, but that's all right.
You know, time's a flat circle, Jeff, and what can you say? But again, we shouldn't.
That's right.
Get past the point again of like, the action is great. Housemarque, they are so freaking talented. I've been such a fan of them for so long, and so just to have, bullet hell done at this level is so cool to see, and even just like, guns having the active reload. Hell of a year for active reload, Kyle, with Screamer and Saros, of course, the two biggest games of the year and all that stuff. But
there are not a lot of games that feel like Returnal, and it's cool to see how far it can be pushed.
Yeah. And two, it's fun to see a first-party studio like lean this much into the DualSense again. I don't think it's been probably since like Returnal or Ratchet and Clank that I was like, oh my god, this controller. I forgot like the vibrations with every footstep. I guess Astrobot
you played Astrobot 2 years ago.
Yeah, I guess that's right. I guess Astrobot's the big example. Yeah. But it's just like, oh, that's right. They are really trying to remind you of, look at this rumble feature.
It's so cool because it's like, yes, you have kind of the absorbing the bullets charges up your power weapon. And so you fire that by holding the left trigger all the way down and then pressing the right trigger. But each weapon also has a secondary fire, and you trigger that by holding the left trigger halfway down and then pressing. And it is like, you feel the click, and then you can continue to push it down. And it's like, it's so cool that they basically have turned one button into two buttons.
Yeah.
It's such a, because it's like, there's a game where you don't want to be like taking your fingers off the sticks to do things. And so it's like, what's just the most compact way that we can fit this all in here?
Yeah. So thumbs up. cool. Returnal fans, check it out, even if it's maybe not quite at Returnal levels for folks. And Kyle, Pragmata is still on top for your personal picks this year.
You know what? I may put Pragmata on top just because of the novelty.
Sure.
It's a little bit of a like a Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild situation where it's like this is a really good iteration on something I really loved.
Yeah.
And I love it for that. But I Pragmata, despite all the comparisons to the Xbox 360 era, which I think are apt, I was like, this feels new. Like this is like a new thing that I didn't expect to like as much as I did. Where Saros meets expectations, which were admittedly very high.
Yeah. That's sweet. Yeah, it's $70 out there. Not coming to PC, as far as we know, ever. It's just going to be on PS5 here,
which is a shame.
It'd be cool to see on PC.
This game would feel really good to play on a mouse and keyboard.
Interesting point, yeah. But there we go. Saros, I hope to talk about it more. Maybe we can do. Is it a good max spoilers thing for a big old spoiler cast for it, or is it too murky for that?
I think it would be good.
Okay.
If we could get some other Returnal Sorrow sicko to come on.
Yeah, that sounds great. Sweet. Hey, Jeffem, you know what I'm a sicko for, dude? Making you happy, Jeffem.
Nothing I can say publicly.
Please, sir.
Oh, jeez.
Food. Jeffem eating food every day. Food like HelloFresh. Jeffem, how you're like craving a home cooked meal, but you don't want any of the stress?
Yes, desperately.
Well, that's where HelloFresh can come in and save you. I use it. I love it. Every time we get a box of HelloFresh at the door, I run around like I'm going to Disneyland, and I say, yippee, we have easy, stress-free cooking on our horizon.
Just run around at 60 miles an hour, leaping between platforms and air dashing through the air.
Putting my shield up and rubbing it in the fridge just to absorb as many nutrients as possible. But hey, it's springtime, everybody. Introduce some new flavors into your gosh darn diet with HelloFresh. Of course, no two meals will ever be the same. You can choose from 80+ global recipes every month, including Vietnamese, Moroccan, Caribbean food, and so much more. They say cravings shouldn't wait for takeout. Get international ingredients sent straight to you, so dinner is always the destination. So Jacob Geller, you specifically, and everybody else listening and watching, you can go to HelloFresh.com/MinnMax10FM now to get 10 free meals plus free NutriBullet Ultra Plus 2-in-1 compact kitchen system. They say, you might be confused with that. You should know it's $190 value, $189.99. You get that on your third box. So free meals applies a discount on the first box. New subscribers only, varies by plan. Disclaimer, you must order the third box by May 31st, 2026. But again, link in the description for HelloFresh.com/MinnMax10FM. Get those 10 free meals and support a great supporter of ours. We appreciate it. All right, Kyle, I know you got to go do some beautiful Saros duties, but thanks for being here, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, am I clapping? I'll clap.
Clap, dude. Okay, Vampire Survivors. The follow-up from Ponkel, the developers here.
You want to call it by what it's called?
I would love to. And of course, I'm not going to stutter as I do it. The actual name of this new game is Vampire Crawlers, the Turbo Wildcard from Vampire Survivors.
Get that colon in there.
It's interesting because I feel like there have been so many knockoffs of the game Vampire Survivors, right? So I feel like they need to make it clear this isn't like something inspired by Vampire Survivors. This is actually like a whole new thing from that team. So let's try and have the words for Vampire Survivors in there, but we need to call it something new. And Jeffem, would you say Turbo Wildcard describes your experience with Vampire Crawlers so far?
Yeah, a little bit. And I've been constantly calling it Dungeon Crawlers, which is the worst version. It's just not a great name.
It's tricky.
But luckily, that's the worst thing about
Vampire Survivors, to be clear.
No, it wasn't.
That's also a bad name.
That became its own thing, yeah. But the game's pretty much a masterpiece. So,
good.
I literally can't stop playing it. It is a terrible game to be playing at the same time as Saros, because Saros is so hard comparatively, at least in the early hours. And this is like Slay the Spire, but you're just going to blast your ways through dozens and dozens of enemies, and you get so overpowered so quickly, and there's so much progression and stuff that they just throw in your face. It feels like a match of Vampire Survivors, but they turned it into a card-based game.
That's funny.
Yeah, I feel like it's like Vampire Survivors was, don't want to discount it, a very good game that I played for 100 hours, but also kind of feels like it was made by accident. Just like, what would happen if we just kept putting these numbers higher? Like, it turns out that's a really fun game. Whereas this is like, it's interesting because it's a really deliberate designed game that is emulating the same feeling as Vampire Survivors, which is a completely kind of chaotic, random game. And so it's like, it's fun to see them recreate that vibe in a genre that just requires way more thought than Survivors.
Yeah, it's funny to think, like I saw, Brendan Bigley, friend of the show, his Wavelengths video, where his take seemed to be like, hey, this game's more complex than you think it is. Vampire Survivors, you just turn your brain off. Like, this actually demands more of you. Like, there's certain things, like you get a boost from playing cards in certain order and stuff. So it's interesting to hear you, Jeff, and just sitting back on your couch and be like, easy mode, baby.
I'm thinking of it in terms of a deck builder. Compared to Slay the Spire 2, like, yeah, you're going to do great in this. Part of that is that there is a ton of meta progression built into it that will just like, you will steamroll things. Just keep doing matches. You will get a ton of coins. You will buy very powerful, like meaningful upgrades. All of the upgrades that you'll get ones that like you do more damage, you get more coins or whatever, but they're all like 20% minimum each time that you buy into them, and you can buy like multiple levels of them. I have like my base damage is 125% now, just starting out. Like, you're doing more than twice the amount of damage that the game is balanced for, at least like in terms of like the opening levels that you're going through. So like that level of stuff you will make it easier than a like a deck builder that doesn't have that kind of meta progression in it. And then just like fighting in this game is inherently it's a bit of a facade, but like you're going around a first person view of that kind of like retro dungeon first person crawling perspective. But then every encounter that you get into, you fight waves of enemies, and it's like 6 enemies at a time. You will wipe through them with like maybe 1 or 2 cards, and then another 6 will come in. And so it is that idea of like, you're taking on tons and tons of enemies. So even if it's not like a mindless activity, but you're going to be blasting through so many enemies that it just feels like you are, wiping the floor every time you do a run. And it carves out a very different feeling than most deck builders that are trying to do the Slay the Spire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's fun is that like there are the strategy in Vampire Survivors, which did exist, was entirely based around which items are you picking up, because certain items had combinations, and it's like, oh, if I get the magic wand and the spell tome, then those will be able to combine into like a better magic wand. And those are all still present here, and actually exactly the same combinations as far as I've played, meaning that if you have knowledge of Vampire Survivors, you get that. But you also get, like, the meaningful second layer is, what order do you play your cards in? And Vampire Survivors was a game where you didn't hit any buttons except for, moving. And so even though it is much simplified from something like Slay the Spire, you have these kind of, like, the game is built around playing lower cost cards first will make the higher cost cards more powerful. Mm-hmm. And, but around that, you can be like, okay, I'm going to play my 0 cost card. It's a whip that does, 5 damage to everyone. Then my 1 cost card is actually, a card that's going to draw 2 more cards, and I've slotted a gem in it that it will also give me more energy. And you could have a bunch of different cards that you could play after your whip, but that one makes sense because it's going to give you more opportunities within the same hand. And so it's kind of teaching you how deck builders work in a way that I think something as complicated as Slay the Spire struggles with more. Because it's like Slay the Spire, you have so many options right off the bat that the learning curve is really steep. And this will kind of show you natural pathways of like, oh, you can do this, and then this, and then this. And once you get into that, then you can start making more decisions about like, oh, I guess it makes sense to try and draw and get this card in my hand because that would be a good combination with that. So it's like there's secretly a lot of decision making going on, but it's also fast, and the feedback is just as good as Vampire Survivors, where you're constantly getting XP crystals and whatever, that like you're always getting positive reinforcement, but you are given the opportunity to like to make it more complicated, to think about it more in a way that I'm only, like 2-3 hours in, but I'm like, this is already providing a more meaningful gameplay experience than Survivors did.
Yeah, like Vampire Survivors, you just constantly feel like you're winning until you don't. If you lose a match in Vampire Crawlers, which will happen sometimes, it's like everything up to that point, you feel amazing that you're doing it. Okay, you get to maybe a boss or something, you crash out, whatever, you get 1,000 gold or whatever, so you go buy more upgrades and then you're ready for the next one. Kind of in the same way that like Vampire Survivors, you can feel like you're doing great until you hit like minute 15, and then like a big wave of enemies that you weren't really ready for can just kind of wreck you, and it's like, okay, well that's all right. I'm learning from it. I'm gonna go buy some more upgrades and then I'm gonna come back into it. I think you're right, Jacob. It doesn't feel like there's a huge amount of cards. There's not like that upfront cost to like learning an entire deck for building out a deck. Like you're gonna be using whips and swords and stuff pretty much all the time, but they do have like the combo system is interesting and unique, that like if you play a card that's 1 mana up from the last one that you played, it gets buffed. And then you have a gem system where you can customize each card basically with other special things, and then you're like the number of things that you're unlocking, you unlock new the characters from the original game all have kind of a special ability that you have, and you have like these tarot cards that also give you like huge single item buffs. You can pick one card that you go back into it, and it's like I have one that any healing item that I use heals double the amount that it normally does, and it's like when like everything feels like a big swing in terms of an upgrade that you're getting or something, and that just feels very good. And you can tell there's depth there too. Customizing thing. It's not that you're going to have a deck of 50, like unique cards that you have to read a description for each one, but it's like you're going to customize each of your cards differently with the gems that you're slotting into them, and you're going to find these different combinations, and then you do evolve cards, like Jacob was saying, of like I take my whip and heart card, and now I have a super whip that does way more damage, and like each of those also feels like a massive upgrade once you figure out what that combo is and unlock it. And it's just, I can't stop playing. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that they've done it again in a different genre this time.
That's what that's wild. Is like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of similar kind of spin-off things. You look at like a Minecraft Legends, something like that. You take any popular game and make a spin-off. People are like, that's a nice experiment. I'm glad the devs got to get that out of their system. Let's move on to the main thing. But it's awesome to have Vampire Survivors be this surprise hit, and then for them to try dungeon crawling, and it's like, overwhelmingly positive reviews. Seems like everyone's like, yes, you nailed it. Great. You took some design lessons and just actually made some depth here. Yeah,
and I feel like almost never is the spin-off like, hey, we're going to give you a significantly more designed gameplay experience. Right. Usually it's like, hey, you liked Gwent in The Witcher 3? Well, here's a whole game of Gwent. And this is like, hey, you liked Gwent? We made The Witcher 3 around it. Like now you get to like think about the game you're playing.
Right. Yeah, it's so weird. And like, hats off to them too. There was an interview on Game Business. It's a good podcast that just dropped, and talking about like how they're technically working on like 15 total projects right now. That's like, games, other things, collaborations, DLC, like that studio over at Ponkel is just branching out across the globe and funding a lot of interesting experiments based on that success. And like, yeah, they are getting greedy. This game costs $10, and so tear them down, I guess, compared to the couple of dollars that Vampire Survivors was, but geez, still crazy. I mean, we're not talking like Slay the Spire 2 level competitor here, Jacob, right? This is like Slay the Spire for babies, jump on in, have fun.
I think it just depends what kind of player you are. Like for me, no. But I totally acknowledge that like Slay the Spire 2 is just a huge wall to climb to understand the kind of rewards and depth of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like if they released a version of this as an RTS, I'm sure I would play it and be like, this is way better than StarCraft. Just because it's like, I'm not willing to like spend the time to get to know, like, it's like, there is a lot of skill and talent in making a genre as potentially complicated as a deck builder, this appealing and approachable and playable by everyone.
Yeah. It's out everywhere. $10. Of course, Vampire Crawlers, the Turbo Wildcard from Vampire Survivors. All right, I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna check this thing out too. If you all are giving it such a big thumbs up, Jacob. Yeah, we went to Spain. We talked about it a fair bit. We're gonna be dropping the MinnMax spotlight in early May here, most likely for a more thorough look at it. But version of Sledgehammer, technically, seemed like you were probably the first member of the press to like play it, just sitting in their apartment.
You said that, and I was like, "Oh, whoa! I guess that's true."
Well, it's funny because like you were playing it, and then like Paula came in, a designer and composer and sound designer and stuff, and she came in and she's like, "Wait, you're playing the game?" It just feels like, oh my god, this is like a momentous thing. I wish I was here from the beginning. This is a big deal. So the premise, big picture wise, from the first trailer and stuff, is you are going back to your hometown and destroying it with a sledgehammer and kind of uncovering a relationship with your sister and how she has distorted your hometown with robots, and that's the premise?
Yeah.
Perfect. What did you think about actually playing a little bit with them?
So we should say, like, pre-alpha, no music. We had the sound effects turned completely off because you were interviewing the team at the same time that I was playing.
Yes.
So very early impressions.
Totally.
That being said, my impressions were good. Because it is like they have previously made basically like pixel art narrative games, and then Every Night a Whisper, which was 3D but very limited in scope.
Many Nights a Whisper.
Many Nights a Whisper. Not every night.
Completely
just
different.
Many nights. And
a majority of the nights.
This is a fully 3D game, and it could be, like, if you took the smashing stuff out, it would be essentially a walking simulator.
Right.
Like, you could imagine this as not that different from, like, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture or something, where you're just going back to your hometown and kind of seeing how it's changed. Except this has, you have a sledgehammer, and every building you can knock the walls out of, and there are these robots that you're kind of running and smacking as well. And it's not complicated. It's not like what is the game where you're kind of doing heists and it's incredibly destructible?
Not Tearaway.
It's, yeah.
No. What? It sounds like Tearaway. What?
Teardown?
Teardown. Thank you. Yeah.
It's like you're not really thinking strategically of like, oh, I'm going to knock this wall down so this other one falls down. But they are using the destruction as a narrative device in a way where it's like at some point, kind of like 2/3 of the way through what I played, I think Jordy was like, so how are you feeling? And I was like deeply uncomfortable. Because it's like, it's very fun to like knock everything down, but at the same time, the game is doing a good job of being like, what's going on here?
Well,
like,
especially because like with the, there's robots around the town, and it's like the people who live in that town their minds have been put in these robots, kind of uploaded to the grand cloud, right? And so like when the robots are cowering in fear and running away from you, it's like, well, they're not really people, and I do like destroying stuff, so I guess I'm going to keep smashing the hell out of them.
The robots have like a cowering position where they're like crouched hand over head, and then you're like, here comes me and my sledgehammer. And yeah, it's really interesting. It has that great, I feel like it's kind of a hallmark of a lot of Deconstruct Team's games, but like, the world that you're playing in feels pretty different from our world, but often the dialogue will kind of be like anachronistically modern, where they will just kind of like talk in a way or reference things that you wouldn't expect. There was one, like my biggest laugh while playing it is I kind of had you have your hammer and you can do several kind of swings, where it's like you have a medium power one, but if you hold it down, you'll like hold it above your head and it's like, okay, here comes the big power swing. And I was getting ready to knock over a wall of the house. And then I just saw the robot inside say, "What is, quotes, Guillermo del Toro?" And then I brought the hammer down and just destroyed the entire
The
house.
last message this robot communicated, this theory person.
Yeah, and so it's like it's a very, they're really good at having this like strange atmosphere, which is like kind of comedic and kind of serious, and there's like eventually you get to kind of the town's graveyard, and I don't even want to say what happens there, even though they said it's going to be in the demo, but just like I think this is going to be a game of kind of rug pulls, of just kind of like, oh, I'm reconsidering the things that have been happening. And yeah, I think, it's like sometimes there are games that are like, I know the narrative is good, but am I going to be patient enough to just kind of like sit through reading a bunch of stuff?
Right.
And this is really cleverly subverting that, because while you're experiencing a very narrative heavy story, you're also like knocking every building down in the town in a immediate brain satisfying way.
Yeah, so Jeff, remember how much you enjoyed Many Nights of Whisper? Imagine like that level of writing, but with your favorite gameplay of Red Faction Guerrilla. That's kind of like
Red Faction Guerrilla, yeah.
Peanut butter and chocolate that they have.
I'm sold.
Yeah. And it's they pride themselves on having moral dilemmas in their games, and like it is bold, it is weird as hell. You will have surprises going through this. Even Jacob was surprised for the chunk he was playing through.
Yeah, there is a section where it's you're doing kind of a dialogue sequence, and your character is being asked things, and one of the questions is like, "And how many times a day do you masturbate?" And it has like a bunch of them. And then at the end, you're like, why did you need to know that? And the person's like, I just needed to raise your brain activity. The questions didn't mean anything, but they're asking you all these like very uncomfortable questions.
Spike your brain. So look forward to more about that game coming in the near future. But Virtue and a Sledgehammer is the name of that game from Selkie Harbor and Deconstruct Team. And then look forward to that MinnMax Spotlight coming soon. I've been editing that, and it's like the Backstage Pass version is going to be about 11 hours long. So we filmed a lot, and so boiling it down, I'm down to 8.5 hours. So still got a lot of going through for that thing. But
I really think that like, if you are interested in making games at all, that 11-hour one is going to be so, like, they were so open with us.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating for folks. So that's, if you're at the Backstage Pass here, you can unlock that extended version of that travelogue, the MinnMax Spotlight that's coming out soon. But yeah, I feel so good about that trip. I don't want to hype it up too much, but it is like, it's the most insightful looking game development MinnMax has ever produced, by far. And I kind of feel like if you don't like this MinnMax Spotlight, I don't know which one you will like. It feels like this is like the pristine version of the format that we had in mind when we launched it years ago. So hope you all enjoy that soon. Just like we enjoy hearing from some special guests coming through. Do you hear that magic?
Oh, we have a delay.
You nailed it. Don't be self-conscious. Haley McLean's joining us. Hello. Haley, I feel so bad. I forgot to tease you jumping into the show at the start of the episode, so people are going to be pleasantly surprised by you jumping in right now.
Hello, I'm here.
She's here, and she's joined by one Deven McClure. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Games writer. You might know her stuff from Polygon, Screen Rant. Give us the other hits. Where else are your bylines spreading across the world?
I will have more bylines on GameSpot tomorrow, and also What Culture Gaming.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, welcome. I'm trying to remember what preview event. At some point we met.
It was... Solid Snake was there. It was like it was a
My dreams.
This sounds awesome. It was a threefer. I remember it had like the Metal Gear Solid collection, and then there were a couple other things
Bomberman
there as well. I think that I first met you.
Whatever the hell that was. Yeah. And you regaled the table. I made you tell the story again and again, and I'm going to make you tell it again here. Jacob, guess who Deven has interviewed on the red carpet?
Solid Snake himself?
Very close.
I wish.
Your Lord and Savior, of course, Tom Cruise on the red carpet for Mission Impossible.
He would play a great Solid Snake, by the way.
I would love nothing more.
Nail that.
I interviewed him. What did you ask him?
So it was at the Dead Reckoning Part 1 premiere. So I only got like 90 seconds with him. For the record, by the way, he showed up an hour earlier to the red carpet than everyone else so he could meet all of the fans who had showed up to see him, which was really sick. But I asked him a question sort of because I don't know if you guys have seen Dead Reckoning Part 1, but a lot of it's kind of about like this weird evil AI type thing. And he had also just, as he always is, was saying stuff about like the importance of the movies and filmmaking and all of that. So I was sort of asking him about AI and filmmaking and that sort of thing. But he could barely answer my question because he was like, I don't want it to be spoilers for the movie. So and I was like, that's not
they come out.
Fair enough. But
Ben, can
he was really, really nice.
Oh,
can I completely divert the show to tell you about a dream that I had?
Yeah, but then I'm going to divert it back. But please, lob it at me.
I had a dream 2 nights ago where I was hanging out with your family and a nuclear bomb exploded somewhere.
Right.
And then the conversation we had in the dream, I was like, Ben, do you think the next Mission Impossible will acknowledge that a nuclear bomb exploded in real life?
As the blast is coming through the windows. This is the last sentence you have. And I hope that we talked about it plenty. That sounds lovely.
Yeah, we figured it out.
Speaking of figuring it out, Deven, I am so perplexed, and I think I lose sleep, and I'm not able to dream, thinking about like red carpets. And like, what would you ask if you had one question for Tom Cruise about Dead Reckoning? Like, what? It is such a scary thing, because like, I don't know how many mandates you have for like, you have to hit this number of views, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, in what world could you have a question that like is a good headline, the actor has fun with it, that they haven't been asked before? It's like, it is an impossible situation to be put in. And you're like, I've been to your site. Like, you're on red carpets all the time. Just you and George Clooney, like, smooching it up. Like, just best buds with all these people. I don't know how you do it.
It really depends, because there is that delicate balance. Like, I remember I once worked the Poor Things red carpet, and someone I was working with at the time, again, with the, like, A-list celeb on any billing, you have, like, 90 seconds with the max. So you get like one question. You really have to make it count. And he wanted me to ask Emma Stone about Gwen Stacy coming back to the MCU. And I was like, I'm not going to do that in the like brief. I'm sorry, but in the brief time I have with Emma Stone, where it's her wonderful Yorgos Lanthimos film, I am not souring her evening by going like, but what about Gwen Stacy? Like, what do we think about that? Like, I'm not doing that. But other times it is easier. Like, I interviewed Matt Damon once at a red carpet, and I just know him as the man from 30 Rock. That's my favorite role. It's him playing Carol in 30 Rock.
Of course, yeah.
So I just asked him if he'd ever want to work with Tina Fey again, because I was like, that's a grab. Because he immediately was like, yes, I'd love to. So I was like, Matt Damon says he'd do anything with Tina Fey, like, blah, blah, blah. So it varies. Sometimes your niche knowledge of 30 Rock characters people have played pays off. Other times they try to make it about the MCU. It's a real mixed bag, but... Yeah.
And like, it's just like, is it mission impossible accomplished? If like it gets picked up and it's circulated and is spread, like, is that the goal? Is like, or it's a failure if my one question is not news?
It's if we can't get a pull quote news story from it that we can run separately to the red carpet coverage, then it's not ideal.
Yeah.
It depends though, because sometimes just the fact that whoever it is talking to us at all is kind of enough. But other times it's like, they're not talking about the MCU and people don't really care about this cool new artsy Yorgos Lanthimos film. So if he's not involved. By the way, on that red carpet, what I did ask her, it was like our social media roundup question, which was just if you could, because Poor Things about like her being reanimated, whatever. If you could reanimate anyone from the past, who would it be?
That's good. Yeah.
So I think like the male lead in that movie, Matt, he's, what is his name? Who's in the MCU? No, the guy who's in the MCU, he's the Hulk.
Oh, Mark Ruffalo.
Yes, Mark Ruffalo. Why did I think his name was Matt? Anyway,
everybody does.
He said he couldn't think of anyone. He just went, Albert Einstein. But then Emma Stone just very sweetly paused for a second and went, my grandfather. And I went, oh,
dear God. No. There's a headline. Emma Stone would reanimate her grandfather.
Yeah.
over
That was
Einstein.
much better for her evening.
grandfather.
Jesus.
I didn't know it was gonna
no.
take that direction.
Do you like that? Like, you know, if you had to choose between covering games the rest of your life or covering movies, which would you go with?
Probably games, honestly, because a lot of like you've said, like I've met Tom Cruise and stuff that it's so cool to meet them, but I have no like emotional connection to Tom Cruise that much. Like it didn't, at the end of the night, my soul was not lighter for having met Tom Cruise. But like when I
Here's your
got
headline.
to
Yeah, it's probably the Thetans are weighing you down.
But like
yeah.
but like getting to interview Concerned Ape of Stardew Valley was like, I'm speaking to a celebrity right now.
Yeah, and
to like how they've impacted my life personally. So I think I would have to go with games, but it is really, I do love, especially like the weirder bits of red carpets I've gotten to cover and junkets and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're truly living the dream. Just like the Tomodachi's are on these wonderful islands. Okay, Haley, you've also been playing the new wild Nintendo game, Tomodachi Life, Living the
Yeah.
Dream.
It's my first Tomodachi game,
Ooh.
which feels weird for me. I feel like I would have loved the series when I was younger. I just didn't get my hands on it.
It's so Sims adjacent, right? It's just kind of like lighter, breezier, more absurd Sims. That's kind of the pitch.
It's Mad Lib Sims. Like, at the end of the
Yes.
day, this is a Mad Libs game that you're
Right.
just hoping something really funny
100%
happens.
with no filter at all, which is awesome.
no filter is great.
All right, what does that mean, no
Profanity.
filter? Just like you can just prompt them to say whatever the hell you want?
I've been
Yeah,
making them
there's
say some bad
no-
stuff.
Haley,
Yeah,
please.
I have
Whoops.
to. There's no language filter because they'll always come up to you and be like, I want to be friends with this other me. What should I talk to them about to become friends? I never say something good.
Right, right.
What are you going to say? History? Like TV shows? No, you're going to say... Can I say it? This isn't Pew Pew Bang. I was going to
Please.
say something I actually made them say, but
Do
not
it.
worried.
Do it. I'll bleep it. Go. I
Big
dare
fat
you.
natties. I want them to talk about those kind of things.
I had I think I said like a big set of knockers or something.
You both
and then
said
like
the
everyone
same
on my island
Hey!
bonded over a big set of knockers. And I was like, good for everyone. Like everyone's happy. This is a society.
Unfortunately, Nintendo saw that what you entered, and they've decided to delete the game from their servers. It'll no longer be for sale because people
Well, that's
are
what
running
they
amok.
said. They're a little bit. They're like, we'll give you no profanity, but the sharing capabilities are zero.
Yeah,
you can't
it's
even
nixed.
send a screenshot to your phone with this game. I've tried numerous
you
times.
have to use an SD
Yeah.
card. That was
Yeah.
the compromise, essentially. You can't share your Miis or any of your creations or any screenshots even from the game unless you have the micro SD in, and then you can still load them onto that. But that's like a whole separate process. That's why a lot of the videos you see of the game are people recording on their phone of the game instead, because they were just like, people are going to do some messed up stuff. So we're just going to try to tamp down on that a little bit and disable all easy sharing for the game.
I mean, I guess I'll take that over like extreme censorship if Nintendo's
It's a weird
giving me those
Yeah.
choices.
Because like you can still stream it on Twitch. So what? Like you're just putting a weird step in. If I want to do a screenshot, I have to use my phone, and I just feel stupid when I have my Switch out like this and I'm trying to send Sarah something, and I'm like taking a picture of my screen.
Also, wasn't it the first day of Tears of the Kingdom when people made like the giant flaming penis man and like the Twin Towers? And it's like, come on,
Yeah.
we've seen it before.
We know art.
Leash.
Yeah, Devin, you reviewed this game overall? You've been playing a ton of it?
I did, yeah. I've been playing it since like around the middle of March. It's not a game that's very bingeable, I will say.
Yeah.
It's much more meant to be played in kind of smaller doses. I know some people experience that with games like Animal Crossing. That one I was still able to play for longer stretches, I think, because I was always doing these big projects. Whereas in this, there's not really projects to be done. It's a lot more like a voyeurism sim almost, where you
Right.
just kind of watch stuff happen on and off.
It's like a god game in a weird way.
Yeah, but even like it's a sort of different God game than like The Sims and stuff, like you were saying, where in The Sims you still have to care for their individual needs and kind of have more agency. This you can pluck them up and drag them over to something, but you can't go, hey, you're gonna date this person. You can hope that they do, but
Right.
you can't force anything.
Yeah, like a friend of mine a while ago, she's really into Zelda and stuff on her Switch, but she's like, what other games should I play on my Switch? And I was like, well, what kind of thing are you looking for? And she said, I want the video game equivalent of watching a rerun of Friends. I was like, that is so tough. And I was like, I guess Animal Crossing. And now I realize, like, no, Tomodachi Life, I think, is the closest you will get.
Tomodachi Life.
To,
Yeah,
like,
it is.
an actual
Make
friend.
the friends in Tomodachi Life and
I was gonna say.
I mean, that is
Make
exactly my strategy where I boot it up. I'm like, well, you got to have fun with like who you create. Like you can create your real friends and family. That's an angle. But I was like, I don't know, should I make pragmata characters? And then I realized that, I've been watching a lot of just clips on YouTube of News Radio, which is my favorite old sitcoms from the 90s, like back in 1995. Remember News Radio, Jeffem?
I do.
Yeah. And it has been super fun where now I am just creating the entire staff of News Radio and the entire
So Ben
cast.
Hansen put Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan's last. That being said, I am looking forward to eventually putting Joe Rogan in because you want like a big dumb beefcake guy. And it's so good I think with like sitcom characters in particular because you're looking for archetypes. You want to be able to take sliders and put them all one way. So I'm like, if I can just have the Andy Dick character, Matthew from News Radio, and just slide it to like full on wacky. And then it gets really dorky too, because I'm like making Stephen Root in the game. Then I'm like, I gotta look up his birthday. When's Maura Tierney's actual birthday? How old was she when they started
looking
filming?
up birthdays as if it matters.
Yeah, same.
Why am I doing that? I even was looking up Sarah's birthday because Sarah cyberbullied me into putting her into my game. So I put her in and I was like, what's Sarah's birthday? And then because I didn't know it. And I guessed based off an Instagram post she posted like years ago where she's like, good birthday. And it was October 1st. So I was like, I think it's October 1st. That's your birthday. But why did I care that much? I spent like 12 minutes doing that.
I think it's going to matter. Like when that rolls around, you're still playing the game.
It's going to matter. Yeah.
Like, I'm putting in fictional characters, but I'm like, it matters when Blair Waldorf's birthday is from Gossip Girl.
Of course.
When I put her in the game, because if her birthday's not accurate, it's all ruined somehow, even though it doesn't affect their personality or anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Haley, are you enjoying it? What's your level of satisfaction so far with this weird thing?
It's very fun. I will say probably not as deep as I was expecting it to be. It's a little bit more shallow than I thought, but I'm still having a ton of fun of it. Like that, take that comment with a grain of salt. But I'm probably a little under 10 something hours in, 10, 15, and I'm getting repeat conversations and stuff like that. That's kind of a bummer. But then every so often you get the most insane cutscene when they love like a oatmeal cookie and like they part the seas like Moses and then they're looking at the oatmeal cookie in the sky and I'm like, this is insane. Like it's worth it for those insane moments every so often. But I also thought it was a little bit weird that it's a game I'd want to stream, but then when I'm playing it by myself, there sometimes is a lot of downtime unless I'm making me's like consistently. And sometimes I don't want to make a me. I just kind of want to watch like a terrarium and just see what they're doing. So I have fatigue on that a little bit. I think I have about 20 me's now. You can have up to 70, but it's like they have a lot of customization options and I go way too hard and then I get tired because I spend 8 hours drawing my dog's face on like a me's face and I'm like, it's Sable. And I put her in and then I don't want to make another me for till the next day, but then I only have, it's an interesting balance, but it's not as deep as I thought it was going to be. But the best moments are like, just for example, I made myself and my partner in there and I said that we were partners, but the game doesn't seem to have anything that like escalates the relationship. It's just that I have a huge crush on Michael and Michael's good friends with me. And I just keep shoving them together like two Barbie dolls. And I'm like, kiss! And they won't date. It's been hours and they won't date. But then my character said, oh, I think I want to live with Michael. And I said, yes, do it. And so she said, what should I talk to Michael about? And I said, exploring each other's bodies.
Jesus, Martha.
That. So I said that to them. And so they do this little thing where they walk up to each other, like, let's say the same thing at the same time. And if it matches, they get to live together. And my character went, explore each other's bodies. And Michael said, dictatorship. And then my character goes, I don't think we're compatible, and walked away. And I was like, no! He only knew that word because I taught it to Lemon Grab, who I put on my island because I wanted an angry lemon. So he said, what's something that you want to talk about with this character? And I said dictatorship. And I guess Michael absorbed that via osmosis when he talked to Lemon Grab.
And now it's running amok on your island. He's taking control of the entire island's government. Yeah.
Exactly. He's good friends with Rocco the Clown. Sorry, that's a swear, but that's his name.
That's nice. That's
and
good.
they're having fun. But yeah, like that was so funny that I woke up Michael to be like, look, we might live together, watch. And we watched like a little TV show. And then when it didn't happen, we burst out laughing. So those moments are so good. And again, it's just like Mad Libs, right?
Yep.
Just what are they going to say? Ah!
And it's so nice to see, we talked about this, I'd argue on an episode of the podcast a couple months ago of like just weird ass Nintendo. Them leaning into like, okay, there's like live action hands coming in every once in a while, like pictures of food and lions and stuff popping up. And even just, they know, it's a weird thing where it's like, it's the right level of weird. It's not too obnoxious with like weird for weird's sake.
Like
it just,
lol random.
Yeah, I don't know how Nintendo does that balance, right? But it doesn't feel like that. But even just the opening where the first person you put on the island, they just look at the camera and they go, living the dream. And then like the camera pulls back and then it goes to like the title screen as it rotates around like Yoshi's Island. It's like, yes, hit the note out of the gate of like, this is going to be a surreal experience for everybody.
It's kind of interesting how Nintendo's leaning, like this is their version of live service games. And they've been doing it more and more, like Animal Crossing, Pokopia, this. It's like they want you to check in once a day.
Yeah.
They don't want you to sit and play this for 8 hours. You need to come once a day. And they're encouraged that, like, if you come back tomorrow, you'll have a different mystery bag to buy and a different house thing to buy or whatever. And it's funny that that's their version of live service and they're so hard on it, especially this last year.
Yeah, wait, but isn't Pokopia the ultimate you're sitting and playing this for 8 hours game?
Yeah, but it still encourages me, like, even still today, even though I'm not playing it as much, I still log on to buy my 2 recipes a day. Like,
play it 8 hours every day.
Yeah, play it, at least log in or something. It's just, they're trying to get me onto the Switch platform, I suppose, so that once I do my dailies on Pokopia and Tomodachi Life, maybe then I'll play Leaf Green. I don't know, like, what their logic is. But you can tell it's like a strategy that they're really pushing on now.
It does that same sort of Nintendo login initiative as well, where you also get punished for not showing up. Not hugely, but in Animal Crossing, you would get more weeds and stuff. And in this, it's just you become severely out of the loop. Like, I had to step away for about a week because I was traveling. And I was just like not on my Switch at all. And when I had left, Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec and Ice Spice had just gotten married. It was a beautiful ceremony. But when I came back, one of their sentiments towards one another was like not getting along, and the other was trying to make it work. And I was like, what happened to Ron Swanson and Ice Spice? Because it doesn't tell you. Like, there's a news station in the game that'll give you random updates about the island, but it's always just like made up Nintendo absurdist nonsense. It's never like they're on the rocks because of this. So you miss out on the drama of your own island also by not logging into it.
Right. I think that's interesting for strategy, just like keeping people coming back again and again. It's a little bit like, it seems like, even Netflix and companies that were dumping all the episodes at once to let you binge it. It's like, it's actually better if these things are in the conversation for weeks or months, and if we can space this out a little bit and to have that approach. Clearly it worked for Animal Crossing, the last one that came out. And so with this, if it's just like, we just get people to check in, share a silly story like once a week for the next couple months, like that's way better marketing than just binging this game and being done with it.
It feels like being in on an inside joke, but you're only joking with yourself. So it's weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Backstage Pass chat asked the pivotal question of just, is this a game or a show?
It's a game.
It's right. It's
yes. I agree with Deven. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. You know what it is. There's weird surprises. Like I don't think I even played the 3DS one. And so the series started back in 2009 on the DS, and then they made a sequel for the 3DS in 2013. The weird thing is, like, they released a Q&A, a dev Q&A, a Nintendo site about it. And it's like, the team has been around for a long time. And then Sakamoto, who's like the Super Metroid director and produced a ton, I guess he was really pushing for this. He's like a big fan of the series. Has been a producer on it for a long time. But it's weird to be like, oh, the director of Super Metroid willed this game into existence again, just to make sure Nintendo is staying strange, apparently. But like,
that's fun. There
are so many surprises in this thing that, like, jumping into the series, I didn't expect, like, pretty early, they give you just a spray, and it's called Kid-O-Matic. It's like, oh, if you spray this on your Mii, it'll turn them into a kid, but then they can only fall in love with other kids. Just so we're really clear on what's going on with this kid spray in the game. And does it, like, keep that pace up of just, like, introducing a consistent spray of weird stuff?
Kind of. It's so you have a wishing well in town where when you make your Miis happy, whether it's like giving them food or hooking them up with another person or whatever, you get what are called warm fuzzies,
Of course.
which are distilled into this like golden liquid that you then pour into the wishing fountain, and it'll level up your island each time, and you get a wish that kind of is incremental unlocks that are in a bunch of different sections. So there's like decor for your island. There are quirks that you can give to your Miis. There's level up gifts that you can give them that are like little activities they can do. So in that way, it is sort of like incremental and like drip feeding you sort of unlocks and that sort of thing. And you get some new buildings around town and that kind of thing as well. But yeah, so not quite as majorly, probably.
Yeah. So Haley, as a fresh newcomer, this is available on Switch too, by the way. But like, would you recommend people check it out if they're a fan of The Sims? Like, are you feeling like it's worth the money going into this thing?
Yeah, that's the other thing. It was like 100 and something Canadian when I bought it, which feels insane for what it is. It gives $40 energy to me. A very solid $40, and it's a lot of fun. So the fact that it was over 100 when I taxes and everything, I was like, Jesus, that's insane.
Yeah, it's 60 in the States here.
Yeah, so I take that with a grain of salt. Must be nice. So essentially,
enjoy your healthcare.
Yeah, I know. Every time I chirp about it, I'm like, here come the healthcare comments, and they're so warranted, and I'll shut up. My bad. I would say, yeah, I really like it. It's just that tough thing where I'd be like, get it on sale, but it'll never be on sale because it's Nintendo. Maybe try the original DS one first, and if you really vibe with that one, maybe try this out afterwards. Because now this kind of has me wanting to play, like, because 2009 gives the era where this type of humor was at its peak. We were talking about Tumblr off the episode of, it gives Tumblr vibes of, it's lol random, but not cringe, I think, based off the scenes I've seen of the original. So it kind of makes me want to boot up my Thor and play it on that a little bit, almost like revert back.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. It is really fun. It's just expensive.
Right on. Devin, you're enjoying it to the point that you say jump on in?
I agree that it's giving like $40, especially because it's not bingeable. And I have had a lot of the instances where, like, when a Mii says they want to make friends with another Mii, the conversation, it'll be with whatever variable you plugged into it of what they should talk about, but it's kind of the same structure a lot of the time. You're seeing a lot of that same cycle.
Right.
Not constantly, but by the fifth time in a day, when a Mii says they want to be friends with someone else, I'm like, here we go again. Like, it's going to be the same conversation that I'm going to see again, which is fine, but in smaller doses. And for the price it is, I kind of want a game that I can play a lot. Maybe it's a game you can play for a long time, which is fair.
Yeah.
But in those incremental, over a very long period. So maybe if you parsed out like the dollars per day, it would
if you want to be that gross of a consumer. Point, yeah. Well, there we go. Tomodachi Life, living the dream. I know Kelsey's playing it, so I'd love to check back in and see how she's feeling about it.
She feels like the person who knows if it would be a good entry point or not, because she's played so many other ones, right?
Yeah, it's her jam for sure. You know what my jam is, Jacob Geller?
Affordably priced meals.
No, you fool! Running a business, man. But it's not all. Kisses and rainbows. It's no Tomodachi Life.
I hope not in a business.
Our business runs on
HR.
Kisses. But it's complicated, Jacob. It's fun to start, and then as Square points out, it's complicated because you're juggling payments, inventory, staff, scheduling, online orders, reports. Somehow you're still supposed to serve customers, they say. Square brings all that into one place. Whether you're selling lattes, cutting hair, detailing cars, or running a design studio, Square helps you run your business without running yourself into the ground, like Wile E. Coyote, Jeff Marchiafava. It's so nice to have, hey, all your payment, everything, payroll, inventory, online orders, just communicating with each other in one service. Like, when you're traveling or maybe you're at like a art fair or something, and then somebody just whips out a simple Square payment system, and it's like, oh, thank God, this is going to be nice and easy and professional. That is what Square is offering. And they say right now, listeners can get up to $200 off Square hardware when you go sign up at square.com/go/MinnMax. That's square.com/go/MinnMax. And you can visit Square to get started because the right tools make all the difference. So check out the description below for all those links. They want you to know that businesses using Square Online earn 36% more revenue on average. 77% of invoices get paid within a day of being sent. 53% average increase in spend from customers enrolled in a Square loyalty program as well. So if you're starting a business or running one that deserves better tools, Square helps you sell, manage, and grow without slowing down. You can go get $200 off Square hardware, square.com/go/MinnMax. That's square.com/go/MinnMax. Run your business smarter with Square. Get started today. Jeff, court is in session, baby. This is an odd one that came out of the blue. Titanium Court is the name of this game. And so this is from the co-director of Consume Me, AP Thompson. And so it's kind of been a cryptic rollout for Titanium Court. We did an interview with him not too long ago, kind of a group discussion, and it was nearing the release. And this thing, it won the IGF Grand Prize at GDC last year, this year, confusingly enough, before it came out. And now this thing is actually out. People are raving about it. Jeff Fava, what do you think about Titanium Court?
I still like it. We talked about the demo a while ago. And I don't know that my thoughts have evolved on it much since then, but it is like, I'm not a huge fan of match 3 games. And I think what makes this one interesting is all the other kind of things that they put on it, not least of which is just the kind of aesthetic and creativity that's going around, involved in the narrative, and such a unique look and style to a game.
Yeah.
Least of all a match 3 that you've never played a match 3 like that. But the game does a good job of layering on a bunch of other things, and there's an entire like light real-time strategy element to it where you're kind of, all the match 3 stuff is collecting a bunch of resources, and then you're using those resources to get a bunch of units to fight during these very strange, like automated real-time strategy parts. And I feel like that's the part where the game lost you, Hanson.
I appreciate this game's style a lot. I think Jeff or Jacob, I don't know if you had the same situation too, of just like jumping and playing this game. It's like, all right, I love match 3. Now, what is all this? This is clearly more than like a match 3 game. And it took a while before I'm like, what is the rhythm? What is the cycle that it wants me to be in? What is even like the genres we're working with? Like, did you have a tough time kind of easing into like, what is the groove here?
Yeah, I haven't played as much as I want. I've played like 2 hours. And right now I'm like, oh, the groove is there is no groove. Like it does feel like it's kind of a game that just continuously is going to be like, and here's a new thing, and this is happening now, and it's like it's fun, but it's like where it starts is unusual, and then they're kind of, it seems like the way the game has fun is just layering more and more new things on top of it in a way that I think makes it very cool, and I can totally see why it won like the IGF, because I think as a game designer you'd be like, oh man, yes, I love the things that this is doing. But it is, like comparing this to Vampire Crawlers is like, hey, do you want to have like a, many courses at a fancy restaurant where they're bringing out like a single leaf puree, or do you want to eat like a big bucket of popcorn? It's like, it's definitely like, oh, this is like a thinky game that I have to, because it's like the narrative is doing a bunch of like, I think it's kind of doing a Midsummer Night's Dream thing, but also like there's so many things going on in the story that it's just kind of like, I have not felt comfortable playing it yet.
I think it is starting to settle into the groove for me now. Like, I think, Jeff, the thing that was throwing me off is like the match 3, got it. Okay, you kind of have your home castle, and then there are other castles and catapults and such that like you are going to have to battle by sending out your units at the end of every round. But in the match 3, you can get rid of them. Like if you delete 3 or 4 castles in a row, then you're not going to have to worry about them. Or if you locate the water in the match 3 grid to make like a moat around your castle, you'll be more protected. Like those types of interesting dynamics. But I think,
or you can just move your castle away from the things that are dangerous to it. It is a weird thing to wrap your head around, to be doing inside of, like, usually you just look at a match 3 and it's like, okay, what's the biggest group that I can make out of this? And you're not thinking of like, okay, this is a battlefield now. I need I need the rocks to come down in between me and that castle because the bad guys are going to come out of there, but then there are going to be ships coming in from the water, so I got to kind of try and carve that part of the map off. But then every time you make a match, a bunch of other tiles just come down and it's completely random, and it's like, oh my god, what am I going to do with those now?
I'm getting into it more and more, but I think like the thing that was throwing me off was like just the confusion of like, okay, I can make units at the end of every kind of match 3 round here as the timer goes down, or like as you make actions, it depletes the meter. But then it's like the units were like, okay, military units or like resource gathering units. I'm like, wait, I thought I resource gathered by doing the match 3, because if you match the resources on the field, then that builds up the stuff to get the units. So I'm like, why would I make resource gathering units at the end of the round just to get even more so I can really spam even more units? Yeah.
Yeah. Just to buff it.
But then the other layer.
And then you're unlocking there are like shops that you can go to that unlock other units and things. And yeah, it has just kept building on itself in interesting ways. But yeah, it's a tough one to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
I've only played the demo, but one thing I did like about it with the progression was originally the units kind of feel like they just go wherever, and I want them to like, no, go attack that castle that's clearly closer than this other one that just happens to be not near a mountain or something. But as you progress, you can get units that you actually can direct, not so much direct, but they have better AI to essentially target the right types of people, and then they cost more resources. So at first I felt like a lot of friction with that of, you stupid little idiots, stop running up 12 mountains, just fight the guy that's right beside you kind of thing. And then as you progress and use those types of resources to collect wood, even though you could technically buy 10 soldiers, you buy 7 and 3 wood guys, and then you can buy the smarter soldiers for the next round kind of thing. Or like Jeff was saying, use a helicopter and just fly over 10 mountains and you're fine. Like it's weird how there's a lot of backdoors in it as well.
Yeah. And then I think it's like the other layer that was throwing me off, Jeff, was then like zooming out even further. Then it's kind of like the smaller match 3 grid, which eventually was like, okay, this is just kind of like overall progression. Eventually you battle the dragon and that whole thing. You're just kind of choosing like which territory to go into next. But like when I kept popping to that, I was like, what are these pumpkins now? What is this other layer of a match 3?
They introduced that much earlier than when they finally actually tell you, oh, hey, this is a map.
Right.
You're basically just choosing what your next level is going to be like, and the composition of it's going to be a little different depending on which of those that you choose.
Yeah. So where are you at overall on this thing, Jeff? Are you digging it more, or are you kind of like a cool novelty?
I like it. I'm interested in it. Every time I sit down, am I going to play that or am I going to play Vampire Crawlers?
Don't say it, dude.
It's a tough time right now for any other game to capture my attention. So,
jeez, like we should praise the presentation a little bit. Like the style of this thing is awesome. Like first of all, the color scheme stands out in a big way, and there's a new episode of Post Games with Chris Plant where he talks to AP Thompson, and he says that the color scheme was just inspired by his favorite color palette in Downwell. That you can choose a color palette in Downwell. He's like, I just like this one. So that was kind of the basis for like the starting point for this entire project here for the color scheme at least. And then just like,
and it's like he's AP Thompson, I think, is like intentionally not selling it this way, but it's like it's pretty close to what we would call a solo dev thing, where it's like he did the art, he did the music, he was like, I hired an editor because there are a lot of words or whatever, but it's like, the music is great and really weird and funky. And then like my kind of favorite part is like, so it's like, it's kind of medieval and you're like knocking down the castles. But then like when a castle gets knocked down, you'll just get like a little pop up of like a dude hitting a home run or so, these kind of like weird modern day victorious signs that there's so much anachronism in the setting of just kind of like, for some reason, when you accomplish this, it's going to show like a plunger unclogging a toilet.
Right.
You know,
right.
And that's what you did. Congratulations.
Yeah, but it makes it so fun because you never know what to expect. Like what is actually going to pop up and kind of fly across the screen, these little picture-in-picture windows.
Tomodachi life.
Oh my God, what a random episode, you guys.
Well, random.
But yeah, like the music in particular was just kind of like, okay, it's a medieval looking match 3. It's going to be like Catan style music. And it's like, oh no, it's like surf rock. It's just like the weirdest tone possible for this thing. So I am fascinated by it. I want to keep playing it. Like some people, there's an unfair pressure on this game, I feel like winning the grand prize and having Chris Plant out there screaming that it's the game of the decade. I was like, oh, what? Okay, this is not fair. I need to accept this game on the terms that it sets out as like a funky layering match 3.
I think most people don't know or care what the IGF grand prize is, so that pressure probably only applies to this very specific group.
I did love, by the way, shout out to Postgame, subscribe. You'll be smarter for listening to it every week. But I love that AP Thompson in that he's like, yeah, having won the grand prize for Consume Me last year and then going back to back now and getting it for Titanium Court this year, he's like, I know the average number of wish lists you get from winning the IGF grand prize before your game is out. And he's like, it's about 2,000. Just in terms of like how many people are paying attention. It's like, okay, that's good to know. That's good to know.
Interesting.
But Titanium Court, it's out right now for everybody. So check it out. It's just on Steam at the moment, but obviously it's a great Steam Deck game, all that fun stuff. Jeff Markifava, do you know what Milo and Sarah D and Paul K all have in common?
Oh.
They went out of their way to support MinnMax on Patreon. Patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. And not only that, but as with every new supporter, I sent him a custom message saying, hey, how'd you find us? What do you want from MinnMax in the future? All that fun stuff. So if Milo, Sarah D, or Paul K haven't checked their messages yet, check it. If you support MinnMax on Patreon and you haven't checked your messages yet, check them. I still get messages.
You have to answer Hanson.
You don't have to, but it's fun.
He demands to know
It's really sad,
you got
you guys. Answer him.
Please.
He's sad.
He does not have an automated
Help
system.
him.
It's not Hanson AI.
him out.
I promise it's not. Wouldn't you want to read messages if someone's like,
That would
hey,
be the controversy of the century.
if it was like AI sending all those
If it was a
tens of
Ben
thousands
AI
of
bot
messages?
who does all the, hi, welcome. My name's Ben.
I want to get to know you. But it is so satisfying. Like I still have people jump in. They're like, oh my God, I have never checked these messages. I'm 3 years too late, but are you still doing this code offer that you sent the message about? So it's fun to see people like come in super late to the
Has
fact.
anyone
like,
ever been mean to you when you're reaching out to say hello? Why do you support MinnMax? They've been like, to get you to shut up or something mean like that?
Sometimes, yeah, very rarely. Or like we'll be doing
Really?
a code giveaway. Be like, hey, do you want a code for this? Like, yes. Like that type of just like, all right, you could say at least how you found us or something more flowery, but I'm not going to judge you. I just want to talk to you. So patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's, jump in, help support this entire thing. And shout out, of course, to some big supporters like I Am 8-Bit. I Am 8-Bit wants everybody to know about the Mario Galaxy movie. Run to your theater, don't walk. Well, specifically, open your ears, because they have the vinyl soundtrack on their wonderful online store available for pre-order right now. You can get the soundtrack to the Super Mario Galaxy movie on vinyl, on CD, on cassette, whatever you prefer. The soundtrack obviously rules, and I'm 8-Bit, I know we kiss their butt every week on the podcast, but they're a great, accomplished company when they're pulling in clients like the Super Mario Galaxy movie to create the vinyl. Like that is a level of quality that's unbelievable. So check out their wonderful online store. Find something that's right for you and you can use the promo code FIREFLOWERS. FIREFLOWERS is the promo code, 10% off everything under $100, not including pre-orders, but check them out. Support I'm 8-Bit. And you should support I'm 8-Bit because each and every week they ship out a prize to the MinnMax community. Devin, so whoever has the best community question wins a prize from I'm 8-Bit. So we really need to pay attention to this. And the winner this week is the One Piece vinyl. They win the One Piece vinyl soundtrack, the Netflix One Piece. But still not too shabby there, Jacob Geller. Okay, should we get to these questions?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. Frostforest writes in, they say, Math Blasters, Reader Rabbit, Jumpstart. Were these games good? Not particularly, but they were educational. What was your experience with these edutainment games? Is anyone still making these? What educational games do you want your kids to play?
Did you guys ever play Puddle Books?
Puddle Books?
Jump into a puddle book. Come on take a look, and then something else. They were like reading a little book, and you just click through. But one of them was called Yolanda Yells a Lot, and it was just a little girl who didn't have voice control. And my parents would use that, and like if we were being loud in public, they'd be like, "You're being Yolanda Yells a Lot." We'd be like, "Oh, quiet down."
I was a big fan of Zoombinis. If anyone remembers that one.
No, what is
I
this?
know that name. I'm gonna have like a
It was a bunch of little guys.
flashback when I see this. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
What are
I used
these
to play
freaks?
that. I honestly don't know their deal. I mostly remember one where they were just making pizza. So maybe they're pizzeria establishment owners. It's unclear. I don't really remember their deal. But I loved Zoombinis.
I'm looking at this trying to figure out because it says it's educational, but it just looks like lemmings. Like, yeah, they're just teaching you how to make pizza and do different tasks with like a big group of weirdos.
It looks like counting, a lot of counting stuff.
Okay, count
Yeah, I
the
think it was
Zoombinis.
Zoombinis cross
mostly
the bridge.
math or like fractions and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love that it's just like
Yeah.
such a weird generational thing of like however old you were just locked into this very specific slice.
All my first games were like CD-ROMs that I would check out from the library and play on the family computer. It was like long before I had a console, and so there were a lot. There was like the PBS show Arthur. There was like an Arthur's Diving
Reading
Adventure
Race.
game
Oh,
that I have
what?
really lovely memories of.
Diving.
But my real like. My kind of white whale of I want to play this again, and I've looked it up, and it would require me running like a virtual machine that would be running Windows 95, and I don't know how to do that. But the Eyewitness games, specifically Eyewitness Dinosaur, Ben, you...
Oh, yes, I remember this. Yes.
Okay, did you? Because it's like our age difference is enough that I feel like you would have been kind of playing a kid's game if you were playing this, when it came out. But it's kind of... My memory of it is it's basically like Myst in that you're like walking around a big pre-rendered museum, but then it's like exhibits about dinosaurs, and then they do a thing where it's like, oh, the dinosaurs like came to life or something. And I just have these like foggy childhood memories of it, and I want to play it again so bad.
I remember you talking about the intro before.
We can't hear it.
You can't hear it.
Oh, good. Everybody else can. Really? You couldn't hear that?
Nope.
No.
That's alarming. Hang on.
It like cut out your audio weirdly.
Really? That's funky. Okay,
Yeah.
we had a million audio issues before we started, so that explains that. Jeffem, does the abacus count? Ah.
It was Oregon Trail, obviously. And then there was a game called Spellevator where you were like a little dust. You were a dust ball, and it was like a 2D building that you had to run away from vacuums, and you would jump over and you would catch letters, and you would have to spell certain words with them. That was another one that they had at the computer labs.
It's another
Miss
mech joint.
Computer
I never
Lab.
played that. I got on my 20th high school reunion thing, we like toured our old elementary school, and it was a very satisfying moment of like, oh, I got to like see the room. They converted it since then, but like this is the room where the old computer lab was. Like this is where I would play so much Apple II stuff. Yeah, for me, Jeff, it was like that same camp of obviously Oregon Trail and stuff, but like Number Munchers, I think was probably like the biggest, most educational thing. Did you play Number Munchers back in the day?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they had like little Miss Pac-Man style cutscenes and stuff in there. That was like that. This is the first cutscenes I ever saw in games was the weird Number Munchers. It was like, oh, this is such a big deal. If I do a little more math, I can see another stupid little video on the Apple II. Did you ever play Rocket Factory on the Apple II, Jeffem? Where you like built different rockets and stuff. It was extremely educational because if you put a bigger engine in the rocket, it went higher. These are the types of lessons that only you could learn.
No way.
No Zoombini is going to teach you that, Devin. But I don't know why. For some reason,
Neither did Mavis Beacon.
she doesn't know anything.
Did you know that she doesn't exist?
Yeah.
Like there's no
Mavis
one
Beacon?
named Mavis Beacon. They were just like, here's a picture of a woman. We're gonna put it on, and Mavis Beacon sounds like a good name.
Damn.
The sad
That's
thing
upsetting.
Is, do you know that she probably does exist now? Do you think anybody's like named their kid like first name Mavis, middle name Beacon? Surely now somebody named Mavis Beacon exists, right?
And it's
If
such
they
a cool,
haven't, I wanna
sexy
do it.
name.
Nothing sexier than Mavis.
Yeah, 2026 Mavis.
I see. List of most
type
popular
Mavis speaking
baby names.
obituary. See if anything comes up.
Please.
Mavis Inez Bacon. Oh,
Sorry.
close.
Rest in peace, Mavis. I actually wanted to like produce educational games. Like that was my original plan. Like even when I was like in college, I was like, I think that's like the path I'm going to go for. Is I want to be a producer for educational software. That's what I went a gun for.
That's a cute path.
Isn't that
That
nice?
fun.
Yeah. If the whole video production thing didn't work out, like that was going to be the route. I still feel like
What was your pitch? You're in an elevator with the head of Jumpstart Games. Go.
nothing. Do you remember Number Munchers? Imagine Mavis Beacon, but she exists. I don't think I had any specific pitches, but it's like I was just frustrated. But like, it feels like this whole world of like there could be so much potential. I think with like educational games, and I feel like it was maybe some were being phoned in for kids. You know, I still feel like that now. You know, it's like I feel like if there's just a decent budget and production effort put to some of these kids, like you can really change trajectories. You can, you know, change kids' future careers, you know, with like giving them an interest in stuff. Like it's like the most powerful thing on earth.
Information stays in your brain longer when you learn it in a video game. I swear to God, too. Because I've said this often, but I learned Roman numerals from the Nancy Drew games.
Right.
And I almost got put in an advanced class because they assumed I was smarter than I was because I knew Roman numerals so easy, but I only knew Roman numerals. So they're like, oh, never mind.
You were like, I don't know numbers. I only know Roman.
I was so bad at math, and they were like, they put like V's. I was like 5, and they're like, how does she know that? Oh, and then like,
She's the chosen one.
She just learned that from Nancy Drew and the whatever.
Lolworthy writes in. They say, "What gaming hardware or accessory do you regret buying?"
My PSVR headset.
How dare you?
Back there. It's behind everything.
The first one or the second one?
The first one. There's so many wires and they'll have numbers on them. Even when I was really into it, plugging that thing in.
Yeah.
I think about Kyle Bossman talked once about like people don't even turn their phone sideways to watch content.
Yep.
That's how lazy humans are. And it's so true. Like when I think about having to plug that in, even if my Twilight Princess 2 comes out PSVR exclusive, I don't think I'd plug it in. It's just the worst. I had some fun with it, but only when, I moved and then it, never got touched again because it required me to relearn the wires.
Yeah, and the sad thing is like even cleaning it up with the PSVR 2, it's still sitting in my basement. And every once in a while I'm like, maybe I should just, I mean, I guess Lumina's Arise, that wasn't that long ago. So I busted it out then, but it's like, I'd be surprised if I ever booted it up again, which is kind of sad to say.
It's depressing.
I know.
Played a VR game yesterday just to be a little counter
Was it an
voice
Oculus game?
It was a
wires?
Meta Quest, which is much easier to
Yeah.
no wires.
Put it on.
What was it?
It's a game called The Time Machine. It's made by the same person who made a game I like called The Utility Room. Interesting game, but it was the first VR game that I had played in like 2 years.
Yeah.
It's not that expensive, but the Steam link was something that I bought, and it just didn't. I just couldn't get a game to run good. Where it was basically like, here's something where you can run a game on your computer and then plug it into a TV somewhere else in the house and it will run from there. But it was just like, I just didn't have the hardwired internet required or something, and I couldn't get it to work. And it's been in a closet ever since.
Yeah. Sorry.
I am one of the like 5 people that had a Wii U.
Oh, good.
And the only reason I got one was because I assumed there would be a new Animal Crossing that was released for the Wii U.
Oh, no.
Because they had been doing them every console for a while. So I was like, I got to get ahead of this. I'm going to get a Wii U. And then it didn't happen. And I just played like Scribble Nuts and I think a Pikmin game. And that's like it.
Well, hang on. I mean, you're forgetting the good name that we should never forget about a certain festival filled with amiibos. Perhaps you're interested in the Animal Crossing.
Don't you dare bring that game up to me.
Because it was like getting, expectations high of like, there's some sort of Animal Crossing on Wii U. And then it was just worse Mario Party.
Did it require amiibos to even play?
Largely.
Okay.
Oh, that sucks.
I'm trying to even remember. Yeah, what a mess. Tom Blackburn writes in, they say, what is your best memory associated with using a third-party controller? It's always kind of the dumping grounds of like, here's some crap for player 2 or 3 or 4 to play. But like, I remember going over to Ronnie's house, old best friend Ronnie, and on the GameCube, I think it was, he had a third-party controller that was always like, I thought the coolest one. Do you guys remember those Nyko Airflow controllers that had like fans built into the handles?
Yeah.
They were cool just to fix all sweaty gamer hands. And so it was weird because it would be loud, but it would just, you would have like a fan blowing on your hands from the inside. Yeah, it was
sounds
cool.
Awesome. I need that currently.
Bring them back. That's the next generation controller we've all been dreaming
Get
of.
Dyson in there, get them to make them.
Oh, they nail it.
That would be insane.
Lauren writes in over there on Patreon. She says, not a question. Just want to say how wonderful it was watching Kelsey and Mama Dana cook together for New Show Plus,
That was
or
so
New Show
cute.
Overflow. It was a wholesome family dynamic that brought back fun, goofy memories of cooking with my mom. Thanks for chasing away the dark clouds on a bad day. Oh, that's so
As someone who knows Kelsey's mannerisms so well now, because I do so many podcasts with her, it's so fun to hear her mom talk at length and just like how it's the same way Kelsey talks, which obviously, but you know what I mean? It's just always fun to hear that.
Yeah.
Very optional depending on everyone's relationship with their parents. But like, should we do a MinnMax series where if people want, they do some sort of activity? Ben, you make like a cribbage board with your dad or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. There is some parental stuff we should do, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like everyone in my family would hate being on camera. I don't know. Do you think, would your parents be excited about that idea? I feel like it'd be, that's why Kelsey's a hero for doing this, and her mom's a hero baseline for streaming at twitch.tv/Dana's Kitchen. And the fact that she can get used to that, because I feel like everyone else, I don't know how much personality flavor you would get from parents, because I think they'd all just be so nervous, you know?
I don't think so.
Your parents
or
my
not
parents
for
would be a
it's like
little
my
nervous.
parents have been in like a Nebula video.
Okay.
You know, they're chill enough.
Oh, I'll be damned. Never mind. Jeff, it feels like your parents are on camera. How much of a nightmare would that be for you and for them?
Pretty nightmare level.
Okay.
Kid jumping out at you from the dark level of
Okay,
nightmare.
good.
Behind the scenes.
Back to the pastor listeners know what that's about. Mike R writes in, they say, hey crew, would you be able to name your parents' favorite video game? And if so,
Is this like how they get our password?
yeah.
You know, when I'm logging into my bank, it's like, what's your parents' favorite video game?
They say, if so, can you all consider a show dedicated to the crew playing your parents' favorite games, including ones that aren't technically video games? If you're
I texted my parents and asked because I thought that's what this was. Their favorite games you want to hear. My dad's was cute. He goes, my first game was Pong. We played it for hours. Eventually had Raiders of the Lost Ark and Golf on the Mac platform. Used to play NHL hockey and loved that. Mario Brothers all night long at university. Would rent a console. And then Mom said Pac-Man is the only game she's ever played by herself for 1 second.
In all that,
At an
your
arcade
dad,
once.
Your dad had the audacity not to bring up Twinson's Odyssey even once?
I know. He probably doesn't even remember Twinson's Odyssey, to be honest. I bet if I showed him that, he'd be like, what's that?
Get out of my face.
Messed up.
Yeah, this stuff. Like my parents, video games, absolutely not. But like standard game, like it might be like Sequence or Rumacube. Like, do you guys know the board game Sequence? Mm-mm. It's invented in Minnesota, Jeff. I'm from a Minnesota creator. Fun fact: I tried to line up an interview with him years and years ago, but it's a fine game. But like,
And he denied you?
I don't think they got responded. Yeah, I sent so many emails, Haley, that no one ever responds. It's kind of like these Patreon messages that I send to
That's
everybody.
why he needs the Patreons
Please.
Please,
reply to him.
Patreons. Reply.
I think my dad liked Asteroid, and he talked about it was a very like poetic way. He's like, I liked because when I like got really far into the game, it felt like I was like entering the Matrix and everything was slowing down. And later I realized that it was just the computer was like running out of memory, so it was like, going slower.
Perfect.
The only game my mom ever played was Tetris on Super Nintendo, and that was one where she would go out of her way and she would ask us to turn it on for her so that she could play it, and that was completely out of
How would she phrase
character
it?
for her to
Turn on the
play anything.
Nintendo?
I think she used the word Tetris. I think she knew it was called
Nice.
Tetris, and that was about it. And I
love-
think my dad would play Mario Kart with us, but I think he played Duck Hunt once because we didn't have an original Nintendo, but we played it at one of like a family friend's house, and shooting ducks with a gun, even though it was a pistol and it makes no sense. But you know, that was enough to sell him on it.
Perfect. Neil McMahon writes in, they say, I've been wondering about the phrase "to death." Like we say, my dog is licking me to death. But you could also imagine saying, my dog is licking me till death. Which one do you think it's actually supposed to be?
To death, implying that it's a crazy activity that's killing them, but they're obviously being jovial about it.
Yeah, till death is just like until death eventually happens for an unrelated reason.
It's more passive. To is like, this is the cause of the death. Till is like, well, I shall pass away at some point. And when I do, this dog will still be licking me.
And the cat will be eating me. So technically it should be like, my dog is licking me till I die. Or
no, it's to death is still right, I think.
So I'd murdered?
I'm getting murdered by kisses as a jokey.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I'm being kissed to death.
Neil, is this helping you in your life? Do you like writing it? I hope you've used that phrase now more in your life because of these types of tips.
I have a question for a phrase.
Yeah.
What is to the skin of your teeth? Where does that come from? The skin of your teeth.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I missed that from the skin of my teeth. What? I picture teeth grazing on skin and peeling it up, and I'm like, ugh, what does that mean?
Well, I think it's by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah, it's like a skin on your teeth.
What?
Yeah.
Like your
so
lip
it's
skin?
And because there isn't any, it's meaning it's a very like hairy situation because your teeth don't have skin on them. So it's like, at least that was always my understanding of it.
I never thought of it that way.
You guys want to know where it's from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally the Bible.
Really?
Job 19:20.
Of course.
Wow.
My bone cleaveth to my skin and to my flesh, and I am escaped with the skin of my teeth.
Wow. I'll
Okay,
be
God.
damn. Way
Okay,
to go,
God, with that
Bible.
weird idiom.
Yeah.
Good drop, God. McGreevy writes in, they say, hey, cohorts and special guest Deven, the One Piece vinyl inspired this one. What is the best and worst adaptation? From a video game, presumably.
Oh, I was going to say Aragon, the movie. I remember being so mad as a kid when I watched that movie. I made my brother drive me to Blockbuster. And I said, please, please. He said, only if you do this chore or something. And I did the chore, and then I watched Aragon. I was like, this sucks. And I was a kid, so I didn't really know the difference between good and bad that much yet either.
But the Game Boy Advance game based on the movie, that completely nailed it. It nailed the tone.
The way I probably played that, but I don't remember.
I just saw what I think is the best video game adaptation thus far, which is the Exit 8 movie. Which was based on the anomaly finding horror game that released like 3 or 4 years ago, where you're just walking through a Japanese subway station over and over. Yeah. They made a movie of that in Japan. That came out in Japan last year and is just kind of hitting States now. And it's great. Like it's totally, and it's weird how similar to Iron Lung it is, because it's another movie that's like basically just like one location and primarily one actor. Yeah. And it is, no offense to anyone who worked on Iron Lung, so much better than Iron Lung.
Really? You know, it's weird to think of, like, Konami could make a PT movie, couldn't they? You know, if they're looking for like a budget horror movie to make, like that seems like that same idea of like kind of, sort of, just one location, constant variance.
They should make a first-person movie. That should be the very first-person movie.
Well, have you never heard of Hardcore Henry?
Hardcore Henry. Come on.
Do you not remember?
Cool
the Exit 8 actually starts with an extended first-person sequence.
There you go. It's got everything you need. Yeah, Jacob, did you have hot thoughts on that Bloodborne animated movie produced by your boy Jacksepticeye?
My boy. I think animated is the right way to go. Yeah. It's just crazy that they would make that and not give a 60 frames per second patch for the game, but like go off, Kings.
And it's weird to like, I don't think From Software has released a statement about it at all, right? It's always that push and pull of like Sony not wanting to piss off From Software, but what can they do? And it's like, I know it's easy to be a nihilist about this, but like maybe if anything were to kind of kickstart that patch. I know that there's reporting that From Software, you know, with Blue Point, they denied the full remake, but like if anything is going to kind of nudge them for maybe giving a PS5 update to Bloodborne, you think it'd be this, right?
What if it just is video game adaptations that finally get a patch for an old game? Because The Last Guardian could run at 60 frames per second on PS5. So if we make a Last Guardian movie, then they'll finally update it.
Yeah, that's it, baby. Is Jacksepticeye good, Jacob? Mr. Lord of Internet?
I don't watch any streamers, but I do think he's generally, I mean, he's very good in Dispatch. We can say that.
Sure.
And he seems like a nice guy. I don't think he's been embroiled in scandals.
Okay. Devin, do you
Which
watch?
is more than you can say for most video game streamers.
Yeah.
Are you plugged into the scene, Devin? Do you watch Jacksepticeye?
No, I watched one streamer, which is Northern Lion, and that's it.
Okay. That might be all you need. There we go.
Official sponsor of
That's all
MinnMax.
you need. Yeah.
What a voice that man
I would have
has.
been on the NL Super Cruise, I'll tell you that much.
Would have been with Sarah there.
What was he? Why did he cancel that? He felt weird about it? What was going on
He's
there?
anxious.
It's because people kept threatening to kill him on the cruise, essentially.
Well,
like,
oh my
jokingly
God.
in chat, but also he was like, probably maybe shouldn't
That's
go
so valid then.
where
I also, I mean, it was
all
like,
of my chatters are.
Yeah.
Sarah brought it up for get a load of this, right? But it's like he's famous for being the normal guy streamer, and I do think that that would just be hard to hang on to if he had a cruise.
But the one thing to me is I also know him though as a guy who goes on cruises like 3 times a year. So it was extremely on brand for the branching out thing he does when I think it's like Dan Giesling's mom. If you guys know Dan Giesling, he was in Big Brother and The Traitors, but also now he's just a Twitch streamer and he's friends with
just in the
Northern
Northern Lion orbit.
Okay.
He's in the Northern Lion orbit. I think his mom was for the cruise line company or something like that. And I think Dan just pitched it to Northern Lion, you want to go on a cruise that's also a streamer cruise? And he was like, I like cruises. And that was kind of, I don't know. I don't know if he thought too hard about it. And then all of chat was like, oh my God, I'm going to get pregnant on the Northern Lion super cruise. And he was like, all right, this is actually really weird.
Yeah. It turns out humanity
cruise,
is
too.
not good.
You're stuck out at sea. You can't
Yeah.
escape. It's not like another holiday.
Everyone got a neurovirus on the Northern Lion
Yeah.
cruise. Not a good headline.
They got what's a simultaneous salmonella campylobacter infection. He got a couple
What's
years
that?
ago.
Is it? It's always sunny. The implication joke when they're on the
Yes,
boat.
because
Yeah,
of
it's
the
giving that.
implication. Yes.
Victor Hensley writes in, they say, hi to MinnMax. I'd like for you to settle something for me. Back in high school, I would debate with my friends and die on the hill that a story isn't good, or at the very least emotionally impactful, unless a character dies. That goes for games, movies, books, whatever medium. Well, I don't necessarily believe it now. Did high school me have a point? Victor, high school you was a genius, and they were infallible in every way. There's no doubt about it. It's a bold statement. That seems like a perfect high schooler
I
argument.
like statements like that.
Yeah.
There's something to it.
Death is interesting.
More
Yeah.
interesting than not.
Yeah, it changes things materially. It changes other characters that are still alive. It changes the dead character. It can't do anything anymore. Things change immediately when someone dies. So it's interesting, at least.
Except for all the action movies where it means absolutely nothing.
Right.
I was
Right.
just thinking that.
And it's I don't know, what if you want to tell a story about a restaurant? It's does someone have to die in does someone have to die in Julie and Julia?
Yeah, but then you look
I
at
haven't watched that in a long time. Maybe someone does die. I don't
Julia
remember.
dies. He's
The
dead at
older
the end.
Julia.
Okay, well, it's not like a twist.
Julia Child. Yeah, Julia Childs is in
quite
fact
old.
dead.
quick, talk about Sweeney Todd. Some other restaurant-related thing without murder. There's got to be some story without murder.
Ratatouille.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Is there any death in Ratatouille? I guess not. Although
There's the dead rats in the window.
yes, and there's that scene too. Speaking of life or death stakes, remember when he's running through Paris and he runs by and looks down, and it's the couple, and the wife has the gun on the guy, and he goes, "You don't have the guts," and then they keep running, look back, and then they're passionately making out. I still love that
Chef
bit.
Cousteau is dead in that movie, and it has a little
yeah.
ghost. There's a lot of death in Ratatouille.
Yeah, Victor, it turns out you were right, and you gotta
Yeah,
have
you were
death.
cooking.
It reminded me a little bit, and I promise we're not too obsessed with this, but Jacob on that MinnMax Spotlight for Deconstruct Team, how Jordy is yeah, I realized when I played Metal Gear Solid 1 that I wanted to develop games because I wanted to make people cry. And so it seems like a similar idea of I'm just going to have this ambitious thing of I want to make games to just wring tears out of people. That's the goal here. And I guess that's how you tell a story, have an impactful moment, is death left and right.
Well, but okay. I just watched Speed Racer in IMAX, and I started crying at the end. And it's just because of how much is happening on screen and like the beauty of like the coordination of the colors. And it's like, I don't know. I think Jordy would agree. There are many ways, like, you're not crying at the end of Metal Gear because someone dies. You're crying because of like what Snake is realizing about himself while that song plays.
You're crying because Snake gets to live. Live, Snake,
Yeah,
live.
literally.
That's the whole thing. Sly Cut writes in, and they ask, what is the best backyard activity at a family gathering?
Eating hot
Slip and
dogs.
slides.
Okay,
eating hot
so
dogs.
going down a slip and
Seven's right.
slide while chugging hot dogs. So just like shoving food into your mouth is like the best you're going to get in a backyard?
What was that show that was weird ways people died though? And it was so scary.
1,001 ways to
die.
die. Yeah.
Oh, there was a kid who did a slip and slide, and there was a
Shut
guts
up!
out.
Stop talking!
I'm
not going to
I
have
was
that
so
on this
scared
podcast.
of slip and slides when I saw that.
I would have been too.
Yes.
Oh my God, in
They
heaven.
do the little like infographic things like his
But if they make a movie about
27
it, it's inherently good, is the thing.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Just-
yeah. Call it slip and slide.
Now, will you non-Northerners cornhole?
Yeah.
I do
Okay.
love
It's
cornhole.
cornhole.
Cornhole was
Yeah.
my number 2 pick after eating hot dogs.
That's good. I think it's, we just call it beanbags. You know, cornhole, I guess, is the official terminology, but did you think that was like a more Southern thing, Jeff or Jacob?
I've always just felt whenever I throw out the term cornhole,
Yeah.
I feel like it's a real, like, I hope you know what I'm referring to because this.
Remember when everyone during COVID was obsessed with the trampoline hitting game?
No.
Is that just where I was?
Oh, the spike
Oh, yes,
ball.
no,
or
I know what
whatever.
you're talking about.
Spike ball. That sounds right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Everyone was into spike ball.
I think there's a reason a lot of those are kind of like, you know, for a couple years, people are really into spike ball, but like cornhole, it lasts. It goes a distance. Like I always
It
have such a good
endures.
time.
I can picture people on the Oregon Trail playing cornhole, and also people in the Futurama future playing cornhole. I can see
Yes.
both.
How old is cornhole? When
old
was
is cornhole?
cornhole invented?
Great question.
Yeah, I don't
Feels
know.
like it was
Bible
like
again.
800 BC.
The Bible?
You know, when's the first time people threw a ball into a hole?
And I
Jesus
winneth by the
played
skin of my
cornhole.
teeth.
But it'd be fun to try and like track like, because it does feel like what, 12 years ago, something happened. It's like what happened to Texas Hold'em in 2004. I feel like just somehow, at least in my mind, it just like exploded in this era. And now it's a staple.
Breaking news, it was invented in 14th century Germany,
Let's go.
apparently,
By
and
Jesus?
patented in 1883.
Patented.
Patented.
But there was
Oh my
also
God,
apparently
patenting game
a
mechanic?
Native American tradition as well. So
It's the first
Okay.
game mechanic patent. No. Get
Je-
'em.
Jeff, do you think that's a good new show plus? Is us competing in cornhole?
yeah, of course.
I think that might have been in the poll
Anything
at some point and it lost. Maybe it was like that Wii Sports.
Although
spray.
it's not very fun to watch people play cornhole. It's great to play.
No.
But when it's
Yeah.
not
It's
your
just
turn,
light
it's very
tosses.
boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mentioned Sequence was my parents' favorite game, but realistically, yeah, it's like this is my dad's
cornhole.
favorite game. He's obsessed. He's in tournaments in Arizona and stuff when he goes to
Wow.
he goes down there for the winter and
Ooh.
mops up.
So if you play against him, do you just get crushed?
Yeah, but it's
Like, is
something
he,
like
he's tournament level?
yeah, but it is that level. That's what's fun about that game is like trying to pair off with like who is kind of equal and they'll be on one side. Maybe they can cancel each other out. So it's always that terrible feeling when like, crap, I'm the second best person here. I need to be going up against my dad. Like it's just like trying to hold him at bay. If I can just keep it neutral for the score, it's like a miracle. And then he does the rule where if during the game you get all 4 bags into the hole, then you get to sign the board with a Sharpie. This is what he does with like his buddies and they get together every week and
fun.
stuff.
That's baller. I like that.
I agree. It's fun, but then you look at the board and it's just like my dad's name, just like an in memoriam wall. It's like this feels gross at a certain point,
Wow.
but all right, sure. Let's see. Land Sea Lion writes in, and they say, "How do you feel about maxing making its way into popular culture?" I assume this is because of the name of the outlet here. Is it only in terms of like looks
no.
maxing? Is that the only way to that it's
Is
right
anything
now?
maxing adjacent? Oh, no.
You can be maxing anything.
What does that mean
Yeah.
outside of looks though?
It's because they don't want to say makeover. I swear to God, like those types of dudes don't want to say makeover time, so they just say maxing. They made up a new word.
You
to avoid
can be
makeover.
anything maxing. You can be hydration maxing, health maxing. Yeah. I'm sloth maxing right now. That's when I'm just around on the couch. Like, you can max anything if you believe in yourself.
I do think it is part of that, like, video game terminology making it into the real world. The same as, like, aura farming, you know, is another thing where I'm like, really? Yeah. This is, like, an expression that normal people know? It's like, I guess it's fine, but it is certainly... It feels like it's used by men to describe something that they would otherwise be embarrassed to talk about, like caring about their appearance.
It's a manosphere. Like, part of it does, I know, I just watched the Louis Theroux, like, manosphere documentary recently, and they were talking a little bit about, like, maxing and how they use that in the toxic manosphere bubble and stuff as well. So it's a weird hybrid where, like, it was probably originally co-opted from video games into the manosphere, and then it just became a general masculine trend, and then a general internet trend after that.
Yeah, I guess it's a nice sign that I don't associate with them. You know, I don't think of MinnMax when I hear the maxing thing. I don't think I'd really connected that, but maybe I should. Maybe other people do. But, like, I think more of there's because people tag us every once in a while for it, but there's some Chinese AI company that is blowing up, and they're called MinnMax. So every once in a while, like on Reddit, people refer to us as them or them as us, and so that's a more alarming one, I think, for me. Sky Fellowship, they write in, they say, when did you first learn that bugs happen in video games? First, personally, I remember renting Super Metroid as a kid and getting so stuck, refinding that game as an adult, the room was burned into my mind and the door opened the first time I shot it. Apparently, I didn't realize as a kid it was just a bug stopping my progress. I never rented it again, so to finally realize it was a bug after all those years later, it was quite surreal.
The negative world in Super Mario Brothers, which was like, which like went around as a rumor that you could eventually realized was real because the internet didn't exist back then. But that was a very surreal, like, there's a secret portal and it takes you to a world that never ends, and the timer, you just have to wait for the timer to go down, and you have to do this very weird jump. And I think at the time it felt like, oh, well, like, this must have been deliberate, though. Like this was a secret level that you were getting to, and not necessarily, it's just broken. And they didn't know it was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't think about it until right now, but yeah, it must be a missing number for me. Haley, I assume you're in that same camp. I'm just like, what do you mean, missing number in Pokemon? What is this glitch? What do you mean it's breaking the entire game if you have it in your party? It was such a cool idea.
I miss when bugs were like little whispers in the classrooms of mysteries instead of just material issues with the game's development. Now it's less fun. I remember encountering a lot of bugs when I played Blinks the Cat. Shouts out Blinks the Cat. And what was the other one? There was another one I had in mind as well. Obviously The Sims has a ton of bugs, but those are part of its charm.
I remember getting bugs when I was playing. I think it was called like Barbie's Spy Adventure or something. It was a Barbie computer game where she was a spy for whatever reason. And I remember a lot of like, I didn't know what the term clipping meant, but I discovered clipping and like just that general like phasing through objects and stuff in that game, because it was a cheap like $10 Barbie game. It was not well made.
That's what you should have asked Tom Cruise about.
I should have asked him. I was like, did you take inspiration from Barbie Spy Adventure?
And I will not like take no as an answer. Yeah. Felix Diaz, they write in and they say, the vast majority of the time I listen to the last part of the show, I'm grocery shopping. What item do you recommend me getting at the supermarket right now? Felix Diaz, every time I go to the supermarket, I'm always tempted to get my favorite snack. And that's the Harvest Snaps little crispy pea pod things.
Oh,
light
those
salt.
are good.
Hang on. Now, I brought it up as a test because Jacob Geller, when you were over here after the charity stream and we're hanging out playing board games, I had a big bowl of those. And my memory is you took a bite of it and you're like, you swing and you miss sometimes with snacks. And you were horrified and disgusted by them.
The pod things? I like those.
You basically spat them out in my face.
I think it was, I don't think I ate them and was like, those are bad. I think it was like, hey, do you have any snacks for the charity stream? And you were like, yeah, and you just had that. And I was like, that seems a little lacking.
No, that's not true because I bought hundreds of dollars of snacks that Dan took home for the wrestling thing the next day. We were over.
So you chose to include this question and then set it up just as a trap.
Yes.
So we're not going to give him any helpful information on what he should buy. I was going to say nutritional yeast. Throw it in everything.
Oh, good. Yeast it up, buddy.
Oh, I was just going to say Humboldt Fog cheese. It's really good. It's like a soft cheese. It's one of my favorite cheeses. Humboldt Fog, like the city in California. Humboldt Fog cheese. Very good if you like soft cheeses. Highly recommend.
Go get it.
Ooh. It's kind of like a blue cheese adjacent, it looks like.
Yeah, it's almost like brie and blue cheese had a baby. It's like it's not too stinky or anything. I love it. It's so good. Highly recommend.
You guys ever get that the like drinking yogurt, like kefir?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love just having the ability to have like one swig of yogurt. Where it's like I don't want to make myself like a whole bowl. I just want to be able to kind of like
wait. Is this Yoj? Do you remember Yoj from back in the day? Is that what this is?
Is it
a Danimal?
Yes, Danimal.
It's
honestly,
Danimal
it is similar, but it's like real yogurt. It's not.
It's more fermented, and like I think it has more probiotics than regular than a Danimals.
It's not a yogurt, but it will give you the same feeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like mini Cokes, like Cokes when they're the smaller size.
Yeah.
But it's like my partner and I get into a fight every time at the grocery store because I want the mini Cokes, but it costs like half as much to get regular Cokes and you get twice as much Coke. But I like the mini Cokes because by the time you're done, it's over.
Yep.
And you don't have to pour any out. And I hate when I am drinking a normal Coke and there's still like a third left and I don't want it anymore because it's not like spicy and fresh. It's not like bubbly anymore. I just want to pour it out. I just feel wasteful.
I'm with you. And you know, like I have a terrible sweet tooth and I just feel bad where it's like, you know what I want right now is I want just like one Mike and Ike. And I don't want to buy an entire pack because if I eat the entire pack walking back from the grocery store, I'm going to feel like death. I'm going to eat them to death. You know, and it's like, unless you have like a little, put a quarter in and spin it and get some candy, there's no good opportunity for just like, give me one marshmallow. Just give me like a little something at the store. If it's not a sample situation, you're screwed.
I mean, you could just have self-control and only eat
what?
one.
K-Ham writes in.
Or you just bring like a marshmallow in your pocket or something. It's your store marshmallow.
Good thinking. That's good thinking. K-Ham writes in. They say, do you all prefer to share dishes family style at restaurants? Or do you prefer to have your own plate? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, but I am not a fan of the family style. I prefer to have my own plate of food, but it seems like every restaurant these days is designed to share. Tough.
Depends on who I'm with.
Yeah. Very, very case by case. Because if it's a table where it's sort of more acquaintances and stuff, I don't want to be having a group like brainstorming session about the ideal amount of entrees and veggie sides and whatever to get. But if it's someone I'm close to, then I want to eat as many different little bits as possible.
Yeah, tear it apart.
I hate when something comes out that's itemized, like there's 7 of them, and maybe there's 4 people. And I'm like, I'm already thinking about who doesn't get 2 before it even arrives. I hate that thought process.
Or you're trying to gauge like, okay, there's been some sitting in that middle pile for long enough. I don't think anybody wants it.
How long's the time to wait?
Yeah.
And I just had that on the Spain trip, Jacob. It was like that super delicious dessert. And I was like, I think I've waited long enough. I'm going to down this rest of this dessert because it's like the best dessert I've ever had in my life. And then Thomas, the PR guy, he then reached over to like the other plate of dessert that was on the other side of the table. And it's like, oh no, that means I went too fast.
And it was fine. You guys both got to eat dessert.
Yeah, but I didn't gauge it. I didn't gauge the speed well enough.
It seems like you spend 90% of the time at dinners thinking about that because you've definitely you did that the last time we went out for like pizza or something, and you were like. And then you called attention of like, I'm gonna take this last piece. Anybody else gonna take it? Are you anybody?
Because I'm a
for taking this last
fast eater,
piece?
and I will eat until I have food coming out of my eyeballs. And so I feel like I guess so, but I'm like trying to. I have a governor on me at all times to try and keep myself from just going like Homer Simpson, eat everything on the table.
Yeah, but you also paid for all the pizza, so you can take the last pizza if you want.
Yeah, that's true.
Just to offer the opposite viewpoint. One, my goal at a restaurant is to try the most things. Like, if I can, it's like food at a restaurant costs money and they make it well. So if I can try 3 things, that's better than trying one thing. And I think if you're with people who you don't know that well, talking about the food is a really easy thing to talk about. Like, that's way easier for me than like, so you guys have kids? You know, it's like just being like, here's an activity. We're going to figure out what on the menu looks good and what we want to eat. Like, I will dive into that.
Yeah. So family style for the conversations. There you go, okay, ham. Unless it's ham, then I want our own private plate. All right, Devin, pressure's on like it's never been before. What do you prefer for question of the week? I can run down a reminder for you if you want. We have educational games. We have parents' favorite games, backyard activities, first bugs in games, eating preferences.
I quite liked the first bugs question.
Yeah, I did too. That's unique.
I thought that was interesting. I had forgot that Barbie game existed until I was thinking about some of my first formative buggy experiences, and I was like, oh my god.
Perfect.
Like, that is it's a big learning experience that you don't realize is at the time because you've never seen a bug before because you're like 7. So yeah, I liked that one, I think.
There you go. Congratulations, Sky Fellowship. You won the One Piece final thanks to Get a Load of This, or thanks to I Am 8-Bit. What am I doing? I'm reading the next topic. Now it's time for something that we call Get a Load of This. Hey, Get a Load of This. Disney has done their best to take it down off YouTube. There were a bunch of links and they nuked every single one, but it's still up on the Internet Archive. But Pixar canceled an animated movie that they've been working on for years and years called Be Fry. It was like the idea of like a best friend locket that was like torn apart, but it was about like 2 girls that were best friends going on a wild adventure type of thing. And so they canceled it, and there's an article about, the internal drama and how they didn't believe in the power of, like, is anyone going to go to a movie that's just about girls being friends? And then people are like,
Demon Hunters just sold like $1 trillion.
That's the people are bringing up. Yeah, for sure. Although like DreamWorks has like a movie that looks really similar coming out, and so I feel like this is like
sick.
There we go. I'm like, this is the real test. Like if that movie bombs, it's like, oh, maybe Disney was right. Women don't exist.
Girls shouldn't be friends.
Society not be protagonists. They get one more chance.
But anyways, there were some leaked storyboards, and so it's up on the Internet Archive. There's a link in the description if you want to check it out, because it's cool to see a whole storyboarded sequence from this Pixar movie that will never see the light of day. So check it out. The link's below if you want to
It's a bummer.
get a little bit of insight. Yeah, bummer story.
Get a load of this. Have you guys seen the Scientology speedrun videos?
No.
Yes.
So people are going into the Scientology centers, the ones where they keep their doors open. They're like, come in. They try to lure people in to get their money, and they just essentially run in and they try to go as far as possible every time. And a map has developed now where they like are scoping out. It's like, this room on the left hasn't been seen yet. That's our next target. And they run in, they open the door, and they look and they film the room, and then they add it to the map. And they're getting really low. They're going like 3 levels down, and there's all these spooky rooms with just like desks sitting facing
it looks
one
like
whiteboard.
they're running through the back rooms. It's
Yes.
like, why isn't there any identifying information in any of these rooms?
Everything's so spooky, and they get further and further every time, and they don't really have good security for some reason. It'll be like 2 people dressed as bellhops being like, please stop, and trying to stop them. And
So they're not trying to do like a sneaky, like I'm walking quickly, but I'm trying to look
they
professional.
sprint.
They like Naruto run into the building.
They've got masks on, and they are all young men who are fast, and they just go and they sprint and they run past everybody.
If it was anything other than the Church of Scientology, this would be low-key domestic terrorism. But like, because it's Scientology, they're like, I don't know.
Everyone's kinda like,
they are
this
pretty
seems
evil.
chill.
How funny. Oh, good. Links below. Check it out.
Get a load of this. This is an article on The Atlantic, and it's called "I Found It: The Best Free Restaurant Bread in America" by Katie Weaver. And it's a long story. And Katie Weaver is, you may not know that you've read her before, but she had a story that was like, trying to get to the bottom of the endless free appetizers at TGI Fridays or whatever. She does this kind of like extreme food reporting. And she's such a funny writer, and it's such a good story of like trying to determine what the best free bread in America is. And in the opening paragraph, she says, I will not attempt to slither to the moral high ground, arguing that best is a meaningless measure or insisting that all bread is dear in its own way. Even if you attempt to betray me, for instance, by merely scanning the text that follows for the phrase, here it is, the best free restaurant bread in America, I will uphold my end of the bargain. So she's like, you're going to get an answer. I am going to tell you what it is.
Cool. Love it. Links below. Devin,
that.
you got one?
Yeah, get a load of this. This is a book I've been reading recently. It's called Medieval Bodies, Life, Death, and Art in the Middle Ages. And it is essentially about medieval era medicine. Ooh. So as someone who is really obsessed with like how they used to put leeches on people and believe in the humors and like two of them were types of bile. Yeah, like it's so interesting. And this book goes through it kind of goes in order of the body. So I'm only in the head section right now. So they've been talking about like hair and psychology and how they thought the brain worked. But all of it is so interesting to see how it was all intermeshed, like societally and with philosophy and religion. And also, if you are a fan of the medieval paintings that like have weird little guys in them, it is also illustrated.
Ooh, so nice.
I highly recommend it if you're into weird stuff like that. It's Medieval Bodies by Jack Hartnell, and it's very interesting. And I've been learning a lot about weird medieval stuff.
Perfect. Great plug.
I wrote my thesis on that, Devin, so I could talk.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was a super nerd for,
so cool.
for that kind of stuff when I was in school. I have not used it at all since. It's literally done nothing but.
Unfortunately, the thesis was all about how the humors are real. And it kind of get into some twisted medicine from here.
And they're going to get you.
That's right. Get you. Jeff McGowan?
Yeah, get a load of this. Dan Olson from Folding Ideas has a new video out called Why Was I Invited to Mr. Beast's Studio? And it's all about Mr. Beast's production company basically invited him to come take a tour of the studio and to watch the first couple episodes of Beast Games Season 2, I think. And so the main video is an hour and 18 minutes of him breaking down, like, why in God's name would they ask me of all people to come do this? Like, do they not know me at all? And kind of tying that into their larger business problems. But he also released a second video that's not publicly listed on YouTube, but he links to it. And it's an hour and a half of him just breaking down every single problem in every episode of season 2 of this like reality competitive show. And Hanson, you should watch that one because I know you're such a Survivor freak.
Yeah.
Like the problems baked into the production of that, like it's clear that they just don't know how to design games that would be fun for people. And they just all break down spectacularly. And he you know, like he is so amazing at analyzing like when things go wrong and stuff that he just goes episode by episode and breaks them all down. And I've been thinking about it nonstop since I've watched it, even though I don't like reality TV. But
both of those videos are designed for Ben Hansen.
Okay.
Because the first one is basically about the idea of like inviting media to look at a thing, which is something that you think about a lot. And then the second one is just about game design. But both of them are like, oh my God, this is so in the weeds, but in the most interesting possible way.
I can't wait. I want to check that out. It's because like Survivor 50, it's a big season this year, and it's been really fun as a season overall. But in the trailer for the season, they're like, and what's Mr. Beast doing on the island? And all the contestants are like, what? And so now it's just like this weird piece of doom on the horizon. We're like, I've been enjoying this season. We're like, I know at some point they're going to turn a corner and Mr. Beast is going to be standing there. It's like, you can't have that tease. So
it's literally Tomodachi life again.
Yeah.
Mr. Beast Your Island.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, get a load of this from the Discord. Tamago Musubi shared a link. It's a YouTube video that's called Cities Turn Streetlights Red to Protect Nocturnal Ecosystems. And it's a news story out of Denmark, where apparently they are experimenting with turning certain cities' streetlights just red at night. And it looks freaky as hell, but it keeps things more peaceful in terms of the ecosystem there. So you can check out the link below if you want to learn more about that. But that is it for this episode of the MinnMax Show. Thanks everybody for watching, listening, sharing, all that fun stuff. Devin, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. If people would like to read more of your writing, maybe offer freelance opportunities, all that fun stuff, where should they go?
They can go to my website, which is just devenmcclure.com. But you can also just find me doing freelance stuff all around on GameSpot. I've started doing some stuff with IGN.
Sweet.
But yeah, if you would like to get in contact with me, I'm Lil Kombucha, Lil_Kombucha on socials, because that is once what a friend said my rapper name would be.
Oh, good.
But you can also just go to my website and I have a contact form on there.
Also, I recommend going to your website just for like, you have a great slideshow of images and it's just like a who's who. It makes me jealous.
You can see me with Tom Cruise.
If you want to see it, it's on that site. So check out the link in the description there. But let's see, MinnMax stuff. This week, News Show Plus. What ended up winning, we give a bunch of in-person options. And what ended up winning was a podcast with just Leo Vader and Kelsey Lewin, because they were the two MinnMax cohorts that were not on the podcast last week. And so out of spite and vengeance, they launched their own podcast for News Show Plus this week. And it's part morning show, but also just really fun, creative stuff from them. So check it out on YouTube or in the bonus podcast feed. Also, people have been asking Doc Lightning, which is our short documentary film festival. If you're a MinnMax supporter at any tier, we encourage you to create a short documentary, even using your phone. You don't need to be a professional at all, under 3 minutes. That is coming back this year for the month of May. So next week, we'll have a post up on Patreon running down the details with that. But if you're interested in contributing a short, sloppy, amateur documentary on whatever you want it to be, you can submit it and we'll watch it in the film festival. It's always
I cried last year.
Yeah.
In the dome.
It is just heartfelt after heartfelt wallop to your heart. And so I'm looking forward to watching it this year. It's going to be a good time. So we'll have more details again on Patreon. I'm going to jump in if you want to create a short documentary and have it screened, and we'll stream it on MinnMax's channels here. Pew Bang coming up next week. Haley, anything you want to tease or plug with that?
We're recording it tonight. What's the tease? We watched a show that Jacob recommended to us in preparation for it.
He said, I think at some point it would have been his greatest work of art choice the year that it dropped, because he was so into that show. And I'm halfway through it, and it is very good.
It's so funny.
Stay tuned, everybody. Check out, subscribe to Pew Bang in your favorite podcast app, and get ready for the next episode. All right, that's it. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll be back next week. I don't think there's going to be an early episode next week for Patreon supporters due to an embargo, but look forward to us on Thursday dropping for everybody. But until next time, be good, have fun, let's go.